for real, they better do.
Good day, good day, um, good day, everyone. Good day. It was good to be back on the closing argument. Today's uh, today's Wednesday, the last day of January in 2024. The year is gone, man. Lofa, the year is gone. The year finished already.
The year, I mean, it's done. It's done
2024
now.
is
Once
done.
once
Yeah,
January end,
2024 is done. I mean,
yeah.
no joke about it. Lofa, man, how's everything at your end? How's life? How's the family? Everybody doing? How's everything at your end?
I mean, everything is wonderful. Good to be back here again today. I mean, few more days in the work week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's the great part. But the most important part here is that we still got life, and we can sit here
Yeah.
and do these things. We are able to get up and go to work. Kids are able to get to school healthy. Those are the most important things. So that's good. It's good to be back on here on the closing argument with a lot of things going on in Liberia, confirmation hearings and everything else. We were trying to kind of keep up with them, but it was a busy day at work, so I really wasn't able to follow a lot of the happenings. But hopefully, we'll get update on some of them.
Well, it's true though. A lot of things going on. I think the confirmation process started today.
Hmm.
Uh, with the minister, the first was the Minister of Education designate, Madam uh, Jaso Jala. Yes,
Hmm.
she did extremely well to me. I mean, she getting from what I'm getting, a lot of praises coming from her, from some senators I talked to today, and also some Liberians. They are invited want her to be confirmed right away. But again, there are others who feel that some people are saying she should be sent to LU, and I don't understand why people would say that. But again, to give the young woman a chance, let her demonstrate her ability. For me, I have confidence in her. I think she'll be a good minister of education if she's supported by the president and the legislature. Like for instance, something I learned today. It wasn't my first time hearing about it today, though. Lofa, do you know that I think the United Nations, they said that if Liberia can put can set aside $100 million in the budget for education, they will
Hmm.
match it 100 million too. Yes,
Wow.
and they have been asking Liberia to do it since early in time. We had time, and they have not reached that threshold. I mean, the people are
Wow.
saying if you guys can put $1 million, $100 million in your budget for education, we match it with another $100 million, and yet and still we have not reached that threshold, and that's disappointing. And I pray that with the challenges, educational challenges in our country, I pray that uh, the Bugger administration will, through the legislature, will allocate that resource, that money. Maybe it may not be 2023 or 2024 or 25, but at least within the next 3 years, you make that money, allocate that money so that the UN can match it with $100 million to improve our educational sector. But what your
That
take on?
that would be wonderful. The gateway to any nation's growth is the younger generation, and to get the younger generation to that point where they can be relied upon to to build the nation is through education. And when we speak of education, not just mere classroom settings or having access to books, but we speak of quality education, education that can be well represented not only in Liberia but around the world. And in order for us to achieve that, we must invest. And, and that's the reason why Tomalin, every parent, it don't matter whether you and I go to bed hungry. If your child were to come to you and say, "Daddy, I needed to get a book for tomorrow. I need to do a research," or "Dad, I need a laptop or tablet," you would take the last penny you have and purchase that device. Because you value education for your kids, and,
Yeah,
and and that's what it is. As far as the education minister designate, I was really impressed. I partially watched her confirmation hearing, and truly speaking, I really hope she be given the the chance to really represent all of us. But I definitely consider her a part of our generation. Some of the things that she spoke to, she appeared to have been well prepared. She came ready to provide information and how. She didn't simply just speak of the surface view of our education problem, but she also provided suggestions as far as how we can actually quarantine some of the problem, how we can get them resolved. So it was good hearing her, and I really hope that that we can be we can take advantage of her, use it to the fullest.
Oh yes, that's Dr. Jaso Jala, Minister of Education designate. She's I think she's the assistant professor, I think a vice president for one of the colleges in Delaware. I've been
Wow.
knowing her for many years. I've been knowing her since 2000.
Okay.
We lived in Rhode Island together for many years, and I know her very well. She's a very smart young lady, young woman, and I believe that Liberian should be given the opportunity to serve her country in a capacity. And I hope, from what I see, I'm sure she will get confirmed by the Liberian Senate by tonight or tomorrow. She'll be officially the Minister of Education. She'll be confirmed because the Senate, from what I saw today, I think she passed the support. But then the next two nominees that appeared today was the Minister of Finance designate, Development Planning, Boyman Kamara,
Mm-hmm.
and also the Controller General of Liberia, the new Revenue General of Liberia, LRA boss, Double
Okay.
Jala. For Double Jala, I have a high respect for him. Someone who, I'm telling you, Lofa, he's a man of integrity, of impeccable standard. Someone who is an honest civil servant, who I believe will serve Liberia and this administration well in his capacity as the LRA Director General for LRA. I think he brings a lot of to that to the table, and he said some great things today at the confirmation hearing, which I believe that will help the country, especially when he said that the $625 million budget that was submitted by the WIA administration to the legislature, that he sent it back to the executive branch to redo, perhaps to meet their agenda, and that he believed that they can increase that money,
Wow.
increase the money for the increase that budget. So looking forward to it. It's all about revenue, domestic revenue mobilization to make it happen. And Bama Kamara, I think right now people are he did well, but the issue about the $40 million is still lingering. And uh, the central bank, I think at one point he said the during in December, the Ministry of Finance asked the central bank for $80 million to pay civil servants, which is above the wage bill of the monthly bill of the Liberian government. So people are seeking clarity on it, and all issue about the $40 million that President Weah said that he left in the consolidated account. The need, I think he said that is trying to disagree with the president. So I think the central bank will be making representation tomorrow at the legislature or submitting some documents about it. So they need clarity on that issue. But Peabody, welcome. Lofa, but what do you think about you say you didn't watch it, but I know you heard.
Yeah, I really didn't get to watch the entire actually I just this the very beginning of it. Again, like I said, I was at work. But I would like to invite a couple of, Gabriel Carter. Hopefully, if he's following, if he comes on, I would like to hear him, because again, Gabriel Carter is from the finance background. Willie Dillon is another young man. No, he's not related to Darius Dillon. He's just a guy who I know that have he's into finance. So hopefully these guys can throw light on some of these things, where we missing the data, why are we getting information from one group, and what are they looking at from the central bank perspective. But again, like I said, hopefully I would definitely do my own little background investigation, kind of figure out where we are missing things here. Because when I listen to everything that I've heard thus far, I'm concerned. I'm deeply concerned as to where we are missing, and what are we sincerely missing here? Why is and this is not just with the weird boycotts transition though. It happened during Ellen's time, right? Ellen said she left a certain amount. Unfortunately, President Weah came and said that was not that is not what he had in there or what they had in there. And now President Weah is saying I left this amount in here, and now Honorable Boycott is saying that is not true. But I think the central bank released some kind of document. I have not gone through that document yet, but hopefully we can kind of review those documents and then kind of get input on that. But yeah, as we go through the show, hopefully Willie Delon or Carter can reach out to me. Hopefully I can kind of share the link with them so we can get their view, from a finance perspective.
Peabody, welcome. And we're just talking about the confirmation today, hearings today from the Minister of Education Designate and the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, as well as the Controller General of the Liberian Revenue Authority Designate. What's your thoughts about these confirmations hearing today?
Certainly, I think good to see you guys, man. Julius as well. So I think the education minister today was on point. I think she had a very good knowledge of what she was saying when it comes to the Liberia education system, the students, how many students we have, what the needs are, and how she's going to address in terms of negotiating with the World Bank. That if Liberia can meet their threshold, they're going to provide double that as well. She spoke about all of that. I think, look, man, very knowledgeable woman. I couldn't be, more proud to see a lady who's really understands and knows exactly what our education system needs. I just wish her all the best. That she will continue to do her best. In regards to the finance minister, I was in and out of the hearing, but I think from the gist that I heard, those are very qualified guys. The two of them spoke with authority. They spoke, I mean, exactly what they knew. They were really giving us, talk the economy. They have a better idea of what it is and what it would be like. But one thing they talk about, the finance minister talk about is that salary will not be increased, uh, which is a major problem right there. So now we understand why we are led government went through the harmonization all of that. So their salary will not be increased. So I think it's one thing that people got to watch for. But it's no doubt that they are very qualified, and I don't see why the Senate should not confirm those two. I think they know what they're doing. They understand. They work in the area before, and they're no stranger. And their presentation today was just one of the best. I think it was great. I think they deserve to be confirmed.
Well, the closing argument is live on Hot FM 107.9 in Liberia and also Truth FM. So if you follow, and also on YouTube, if you're following, the closing argument is live on Truth FM and also Hot FM in Liberia and others and several local radio stations across the country. So if you find somebody saying no sound, somebody saying no sound.
We can hear you loud and clear. How one?
Somebody saying, somebody said to everyone your friend, you would confirm all of that.
That's great. That's great. We're saying everyone is your friend.
Yeah,
I guess.
The thing is that for me, what I noticed so far, once you're sympathizer of CDC once you are not part of the UP, you cannot praise UP. When you cannot talk when everything is, you can be objective. So they want you to just come and just trash, and that's not my. I know I'll get insulted every day, but if UP if they do wrong, I will talk it. If they're not performing well, I will say it. I think I have my reputation to protect. I can't just be one side and just look at red and say I'm black. I can't do that.
Right.
We'll be objective to help our country. But again, so my people, I'm sorry. But again, also.
Yep, I think you're fair to me.
By May 1st,
yeah, go ahead.
President Barker will be 100 days in office. May 1st will be 100 days in office. And at that time, we expect him to deliver his first press conference, give his first major press conference to the nation, address the nation on May 1st. And we tell us the status of whether any car got stuck on a major highway during the first 100 days. Today is day 9 of his stay in office, and on May 1st, we're expecting to give his first major report to the nation in the first 100 days. We're looking forward to that day. But a group called Central. Central is which is the Center for Transparency and Accountability, is urging President Joseph Boakai to officially declare and publish his assets. Central is saying that the president he promised the nation that he will declare his asset upon taking office. So they are calling on him to declare his asset and publish it, officially declare and publish his asset. He shouldn't just declare, but publish it. We want to know his worth coming to office, how much he's worth, what he owns, and the bank account, how much money he has in his bank account. So they want to know it because President Boakai he stressed on corruption and transparency and accountability during the campaign. So people want to know exactly. Let him tell us what he brings to the office. It's important. I think President Weah was attacked. I mean, it was they went after him for his declaration of his assets, even though he declared it at the eve of the date of the expiration. But they wanted him to publish it, which I think he didn't publish it, but I think he declared assets. So, but the Central is saying President Boakai promised that he would not only declare, but he will publish, make it public. Up to now, they are still calling on him, the vice president, the speaker, the pro tem. The pro tem already declared her assets. They're calling on all the other folks in the government to declare the assets. Lofa and Peabody.
Yeah.
Quickly, yeah.
And I'm glad that we are discussing this issue of asset declaration. Tomalin, it's a disgrace. It is embarrassing that we should even sit here and talk about the possibility of people having to even ask the president to declare his asset. Okay, asset declaration should have been one of the very first thing done by the president. It is so disheartening for a man who ran on the issue of transparency, the man who ran on the issue of accountability, to sit now and want to use the deadline as a reason to escape what he actually ran on, as though he didn't realize all along that he needed to declare his asset. Look, it took President Boakai how long? Like 2 weeks to travel from one part of Liberia to come to the United States and gallivant the various states or the various cities, because I think he was in one state. And guess what happened? Here we are today. We're talking about asset declaration. Should people even be talking about him having to declare his asset at this point? That should be the least of our worries. It should have been done years before we even started talking about these things in all reality. So I hope that we can really get into it extensively so that we can. Again, this is deception. I will stop here for now. I'm about to bring what's his name Choo on. Let me get him in here real quick. Let me stop here for now and try to get the link to him, and then we'll get back on here. All right.
Look, ultimately, I think it's all fair. It's part of the requirement. In fact, the VP had always said that he was into this. Corruption was his number one. And I think what he needs to do, we've had a few people who have declared the asset. I mean, I think the president, sorry for calling him VP, I think he need to go ahead now and declare his asset. It's very important that he do it. This is part of transparency. I think he should have been the first to do it, to declare his assets. So I think we've been here into this 1 week, 2 weeks, next week. I think it's important that he come up and declare his assets right now. He had enough time to do this, and I think there should be no excuse for the president declaring his assets. I think he needs to do it.
Yeah, welcome, Duke, and welcome, Keff. Just to go to what Centel said quickly. Centel comes following the release of Transparency International Corruption Perception Index report, placing Liberia on a higher rank for corruption. Liberia ranks 145 or 180 among countries covered by CPR 2023. From 32 in 2018, Liberia has dropped by 7 points to 25 in 2023. Unfortunately, this further cements the country's position as one of the biggest decliners on the CPI, dropping by a massive 16 points from 41 in 2012 to 2020 to 25 in 2023. In West Africa and the Minor Reward Union, Liberia is the only country that has declined by 7 points over the last 6 years. And so Santa is saying that the State of Corruption report, which revealed that 90% of Liberians think corruption level is high in the country with low citizen confidence in the executive branch government to fight against corruption. It's a challenge. So Santa is saying that we have dropped, and the sooner the president can declare his asset for people to gain confidence in the executive branch will be the better for us. So, but Kev, Duke, we're just talking quickly. You guys can just quickly give your perspective on the issue of the confirmation hearings today, and also the report Central call on the president declares assets and so forth. So you can just get a perspective quickly, and we can move on.
I think the biggest one, confirmation hearing will be tomorrow. You see how that goes. So I know during the recent address, the SONA address, the president has stressed that his government was going to be big on accountability. And part of accountability is definitely declaring your assets. That's something that, we were all critical of as members of the opposition against the we administration. And I would think that by now that should have been done. Hopefully, the plan in place. I know I saw a few minutes ago, about an hour ago, I believe, some level of clarity from the executive management page stating that those details will unfold. I don't know what caused the delay, but hopefully they can bring some level of clarity. But we do need transparency in government. We do need political actors and individuals who are in public offices to be able to tell the people exactly what they're standing on in terms of the assets, in terms of things that they have before going to public office. I think it sets the standard as the head of government that other members of government can follow as well. So hopefully that's something to looking at. But confirmation hearing wise, um, you know, again, we have lawmakers who've been hired to do a job, and hopefully they will follow the constitutions and ask the necessary questions to make sure that they determine the qualification that those people will come in for different positions as well. But I look forward to the one tomorrow, and just hoping to see that they can provide something that the Liberian people will be satisfied.
Yeah, Kev.
Well, let me say hi. And well, I will not go too much on uh, folks declaring their assets. All you gotta do just read the code of conduct, then you will understand that what what uh, the president GMB uh, said during his campaign was not true. That he gonna declare assets on day one. That's not true. Right now, the World Code of Conduct says he should declare your asset before even getting to power. It's clear. It's clear. We can put it up. We see that there. So what we're getting from the Unity Party is saying, say one thing and do another thing. So if you listen to Buama Kamara today, you see totally everything that's different from the campaign. Only somebody with a brave mind will come and defend that, because you gave the people something. You know, it's sometimes in politics you can say, okay, uh, to govern and to campaign is two different things, but your key message that you use to defeat uh, uh, another political party that brought you to power, that everybody went out there and say, you harmonize my pay, I will harmonize you. We have folks We have folks that supported us that left our party, left and went to the UP because they felt that the pay was harmonized. The government cut the pay. But today, they're saying something totally different. Matter of fact, what Wama Kamara is saying today, he put in a freeze on hiring. Not even saying because he made it clear and said, look, um, we're not going to raise nobody pay. We're not going to give them no money. He said, but we'll not even hire people. He said it's not a good idea. We'll have the table can play, the people who listen. So you see the key of their campaign, they it came back and because some of us we spoke on it on my former network. I talk about it. We talk about said they will not because the harmonization uh, is something that help people to be on the wage bill. It saves a lot of money for us to pay and do a lot of stuff. It's impossible. It's impossible. They will not do that. They will not raise your pay. They are lying to you. What they say? They insulted us. They told us that we stole the money. When they come there on day one, the people will get their money. But on day one, they say no, you're not getting the money because they realize that it's different. It's no more that free stuff under my Ellen that you're getting from the international community, and that's the reality. But we'll get into it, Mr. Moderator. I'll stop here for now.
Okay. I want to welcome Mr. Jones to the platform, but quickly, uh, I know yesterday there was an incident that occurred, and with the president when he went to the University of, I think, the Mary's University, and I reached out to the EPS today, and the EPS told me this a source from the EPS. I wish on the condition of anonymity. So the incident is under investigation by the EPS and the Liberian National Police. The guy should not have been so close to the president. All the agents involved have been reassigned pending investigation. Steps have been taken to correct the situation and prevent further repeat of the security breach. So the EPA is saying that it's all those who are in the president in his diamond. Because most, if you don't, I mean, I'm not, I mean, security will tell you that people directly around the president they call it a diamond. And those who are within his diamond have all been replaced and they're under investigation. And they admit there was security breached. You saw the video. And no matter what people can say, no one who comes close to a president grab him like this, and it could have happened, could have been worse. So I'm happy that the EPS have taken the action, and we look forward to hearing from the outcome of that investigation. I hope they have made it public. Usually in other countries they will make a public announcement about what happened yesterday, address it, and let the people be aware instead of speculation, because people were speculating. Some people said UP partisan, some people said there's an unknown person, some people said that crazy man, all kinds of stuff we're hearing. So, but that's why they sent out. But again, guys, let's move quickly. Mr. Jones, welcome again. Quickly, you want to just give a perspective on the confirmation hearing and quickly, and also the president of asset declaration?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks for having me again. I thought I'd join you the discussion today because it has to do with finance, and that's the area that I have a little bit of expertise. Um, and I think the current Minister of Finance or the appointed Minister of Finance was confirmed. And as I was watching the show, it was very interesting because you guys was like, this guy is well qualified, Burma Kamar, and you think he should be confirmed. I beg to differ. Burma Kamara is a very incompetent man. I had the opportunity to have a dialogue with him on this very network on the Truth FM. And this man did not even know the percentage of the Liberian health budget. He argued it there was few other financial colleagues on, and that questions the kind of people. I can understand that you guys are not financial analysts and are not financial expertise. And even the people in the Senate, most of them are not. They never work in banking, finance, any of those areas. So how would they know? The fact that right now Liberia is facing one of the major unemployment. Okay, you're paying the $300 billion in terms of wage bill. About 50% of that is going to the highest tier of government employees, while the rest of the employees are making less than $500 a month. While ministers, deputy ministers are making $5, $6, $7,000. In fact, he admitted that he made $8,000 when he was deputy governor of Central Bank. So my question is, how do you improve people's lives when you said which the government is a larger employer? According to Keynesian economics, whenever the private sector cannot come in and provide jobs, it's the government that should provide stimulus, unemployment, and assistance. How can you sit there and say you're going to rescue people that have no jobs? You are making $8,000 to $10,000. All your friends in the government in a high level are making that kind of money. So how do you expect people to live for the next year or 2 years? It makes absolutely no economic sense. And if this guy is confirmed, I think Liberia is done because he knows nothing about finance and economics. He has no business experience. He worked directly out of college from University of Liberia at the central bank. He never worked in a commercial environment. He never worked as a banker or analyst. So I thought to come on today to refute that fact that this man even understand what he's doing. Under his administration when you were finance minister, look at how Liberia performed the last 16 months of the administration. Huge corruption, ghost payroll, all right, and large deficit and loans. So how do you bring the same man back who performed dismally as a central bank governor, a deputy central bank governor? The central bank of Liberia has not been able to even regulate the foreign banks in Liberia. Okay, so what is his contribution? The State of the Nation address. The president said he's going to put 10,000 people for training. All right. There are thousands of Liberians already trained and educated in technology. No word on how these people will be employed or you can bring them to help the country. You're talking about going to put people who never study IT for another 2 years. That is absurd. These people don't know what they are doing, and as you can see from the inaugural address, they're worse than the previous administration or any administration in Liberia. They come up with a fine PowerPoint, they come up with a fine rhetorics. They are politicians. They are not technocrats. So I'll stop there and give my colleagues the chance to speak about it.
Well, I would disagree with you about the characterization of Minister Bwama Kamara. I think Mr. Kamara is. I think he's someone who is up to the task for this job, and he was there for 18 months, and may have his issues, but to say he's incompetent and not up for this job, for me personally, I don't think so. Maybe the other panels.
So what are you basing your competence on? What are you going by to say that this man is more qualified?
I'm not saying more qualified.
Hundreds of other Liberians, okay,
yeah,
are qualified for the Minister of Finance. Yeah, what were you basing it on?
I mean, first of all, he has his education. He a former. He worked at the central bank. He was one of the head of the central bank for many years. He comes with wealth and experience, and
okay.
He record at central bank speaks for himself.
Alex, let him land. Let him land. No, then you come in.
He has a good record at central bank, and that's why Madam Salih was. She had her wisdom, the confidence to appoint her as finance minister to complete her term, and I don't think that. And there's someone who is, even if the former finance minister respects him, because I have talked to her on the telephone before, had two of them on the phone before, and they have respect for each other. But to come and just to just really bring him down. I don't think. I mean, as I said, that's my opinion. I have a different opinion about him as compared to what you're saying about him. But I'll give the other guys a chance to come in. But I
Normally,
think Mr. Mama Kamara is. I think he's a good fit for the Minister of Finance job.
And again, just to add to what Tomalin rightfully said, unfortunately, again, finance is not my area, so I'm not gonna try to put my hands in there, and so hopefully, especially when it's economy, so we will hopefully have another person. Now, was hoping we can get some of those who really have the finance background to kind of chime in on this particular topic here. But from what I have read, thus far, and what I have seen, I guess the education he has it, and the experience. Now if we are to focus on his past performance, then I'm a little bit iffy about, okay, where does he fit in the head. And I think we should give other people who've had really had the opportunity to sit in, like I said, Gabriel Carter, Willie Dillon, and like Emmerich and other people. Probably these are the people we should be listening
so,
to and
so
giving jump in on these kind of things here. So let me sit back on this one, and
Tom,
hopefully Willie Dillon and other people can get on that. So I'll hold off on that part.
yeah, so Tom, they have more than 17 years in this industry, okay? And designations and background. Now, let me say this first and foremost. I like what Lofa said previously. I think the conversation, must be about his past performance. And I think on the show, the last time he was here, there were some things that were stated that I questioned. Number one, um, he spoke about recouping some sort of money inside the Ministry of Finance, and then there were contradictions about how those monies were used, including using some of the funds to buy a more expensive vehicle because he needed it, and I think that was questionable on that part. In terms of understanding percentages of the budget and what have you, yeah, that's a bit of a technical part, and sometimes, I mean, that's something you should easily know. But we saw the former Minister of Finance, Sandra Toy, on this show, not even being able to tell us how we could acquire employment data, from the country for Liberia. But then he made reference to some things, right, that we couldn't quantify. So I can see where on that aspect now, just from an education perspective, I know that he has the education. I don't know too much about his work background besides being, a former minister of finance. But I can see what the concerns lies about how things have been done, and I think the frustration here for a lot of us who've been critical of people in a certain position in Liberia is that there needs to be some level of vision when it comes to managing a certain area, and the vision's lacking, and that's what we continue to run into this, roadblock of not really being productive, not really having the type of solutions that we need to be able to drive economic growth. For instance, we're looking at probably inching close to 30 years that we haven't figured out how to build a functioning private sector in that country. The Ministry of Finance, as it is, are still operating using file cabinets. There's not a digital system for us to be able to collect raw data. Today, the Labor Ministry in Liberia cannot tell us where we can access employment data, right, to be able to, even say how much our economy has grown, right? How many jobs have we created? All of those things, those I think those are valid questions. I can understand what he's saying. I wouldn't be harsh in terms of the incompetence side. I think we respect his education, we respect what he has done in the past, but we can challenge though the performance, and I think there's some kind of void in terms of what he has done before and how those things that he has done in the past will be able to translate to what we need in terms of moving the future. So that's just my observation, but I do agree, man. Like, I mean, this is not the time to continue to use recipe from the past to address the kind of progress or the level of policies that we need to see, to bring in the level of progress, right? And so, but other than that, I hope there's an opportunity for the minister to be able to explain himself and answer some questions here. But I would just give him the benefit of doubt and just only just call into question our past performance and what have you.
Lofa, you muted.
Oh, sorry. I said that would be my biggest concern because, when I look out to employ people or when I sit in to conduct job interviews, I'm looking at your resume. Okay, what experience do you have, and what impact did you make? And if I'm concerned about what you have done within that agency and I'm looking to promote you, then I'm looking at your past performance. All right. What did you bring to it? So I think the focus here is how can he actually transform our our economy, and from the just from a general perspective, based on what we saw him do in the last, what you said, 18 years that he served as a
18 months at finance.
18 months, excuse me, 18 months that he served. Okay, that's enough time that he could have made a major impact, man. That's enough time for him to have left footprints on the ground. So if we are just going to look at his past records, then hopefully we can make that determination to say, hey, man, you were here for 18 months. What did you do? What mechanism did you put in place? What did you observe? And when you left, what are you bringing back to change what you left behind and what you noticed from the previous finance minister? Because we cannot continue to go down the same, rabbit hole where we keep using this antique idea of, what the finance or whatever it is. But, again, I think I can only focus on his past performance to make that determination as to whether he
But
probably is the right man to get that job done, though.
and Lofa, I do understand where you just going with this, right? And that's a really valid point. I would just kind of like filter things a little bit, but you know, we're inching right to the point now wherein it has to be beyond credentials, right? In addition to credentials, there's got to be results, and I think this is what the greatest burden of proof lies, right? Because in about 100 days from now, we're going to be discussing actual economic data numbers, right?
Right.
How well did the economy grow? How many jobs, did we put forth, right? What were those policies or other policies that are actually working as well? What is the Ministry of Finance or Minister of Finance going to be able to address out of the current economic issues, right? Commodity prices, those are the things, right? The rate, the exchange rate, those are the kind of things. Now, past performance, this is not on the investment related, right? Can give you an insight in terms of how that person might perform in the future, right? And just looking at it, the last time he was on the show, I remember there was a heated conversation, and um, I, for one, had some questions about some of the things that were stated. I wish I could find my notes somewhere, but I probably will. But he made mention of cutting down costs and being able to save some money, right? But then later on said that he needed a new vehicle and he was able to buy a vehicle for like what, $80,000 or so. And I was trying to figure out how does that tie into cutting costs, right? How do you save and then go lavishly spend on something else? Those are one of the things that we'll take a look at. But I do understand though where he's coming from, and I think they would definitely be judged by definitely he'll be judged by past performance, but his records going forward. Now, in terms of his credentials, in terms of his competence, right? If he avails himself to the show and questions are asked, then people can make a broader determination there. But I would just give him the respect, the fact of the matter that he has actually invested time in building himself. And so he served in the role for 18 months, as Tomalin said. And so what we have now, sample size of his performance in the past, and maybe in the future, we can then be able to, hold him accountable for some of those actions.
Yeah. Okay, before I bring Mr. Johnson, look, the guy she served just for 18 months. So I don't know how would you just judge the guy on his 18 months as finance minister.
More than 1 year.
Tomalin,
Well, Timothy, let me address that. First of all,
he got in that position at the time, at the end of the President Salif administration. She was leaving office on second term. So, and the guy, I mean, today I listened to him. He talked about lots of things he's going to do. He wants to do for the Ministry of Finance and work along with the guy from LRA. Two of them appeared today jointly. And I think based on what they said, we're giving. For me, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. If these are recordings that we have. If income come by next year this time, things that they said, most of them were given 3 months, in 3 months to do certain things. If but in 3 months time, but by next year this time, if we don't hear, we don't see, we're not seeing much changes in the in what they say they're going to do, then we'll start questioning it. In fact, one thing good thing that came out of that thing today, they asked the lawmakers to revisit the act that created the Ministry of Development, Finance, Development, Planning. And I'm one of those who believe that they should not have combined the Ministry of Planning and Finance together. Okay, I think we should have that many. Should never have put it together in the first place. I don't know who did it, but the Happy Studies administration. It should be the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Planning and Economic Affairs. It should be separate. But putting them together, I think Jabba Jala raised the issue today, and I hope the lawmakers and President Boga will look into it to see that it can take apart the two ministries and because it's too bulky for one person, and as a result, the other sectoral areas are left unattended. But Mr. Jones, again, like I said, I think we should give Minister the only thing, Mr. Kamara, the only thing that will hang over his confirmation, I believe, is the issue of the 40 million. I don't know who advised President Boyka to say that President Weah did not leave $40 million in the consolidated account. I just got something from the central bank. I'm still looking at it.
Can we publish it?
I will send to you.
Okay.
The central bank, I will send to you. But again, because he was on an oath, and when you honor oath in front of the lawmakers, and if you say something that is untrue, they consider it as perjury. You lie on an oath, and they could disqualify you from your confirmation. But I just pray and hope. I'm hoping that he did not fall in that area where he didn't mislead the lawmakers. And President Weah's statement that he did leave $40 million in the consolidated account is a fact. They are still debating it, but I believe that from the documents I've seen, President Weah, I think from what I saw, he did. President Boga did not talk about the Liberian data component, but that if you make the exchange rate, it will come almost to the $40 million because he only talked about the US dollar component in his speech, and he should have also indicated about the extra $2 million, $2 million, I think $2 million something dollars that President Weah talked about left, but that brought it to 40 million. But again, we are still digging on it, and we hope we'll discuss it more. But Mr. Jones, yeah, go ahead.
So I think you're leaving out the part that this man was deputy governor for the Central Bank of Liberia for a number of years.
Yep.
Okay. Liberian Bank, the Central Bank of Liberia has been a very poorly performing entity. In fact, this is the same entity where they are responsible. The two jobs of the central bank, one is low unemployment and low inflation. Those are the responsibility of the central bank. We saw high unemployment and high inflation. We saw situation of high corruption where the banks in Liberia, they are not properly regulated. Let's go back to the education because I want to look, this is not personal. I think I speak on all the candidates and I speak on everybody. I just want to make the point that at these times where you have a country where you are basically in depression, you have you running an $80 million deficit, you have a $2.2 billion debt. This is not the time to bring somebody on who have failed in several previous jobs. In other words, bring a recycled politician. If Liberia, if these people have performed, the American, the Gafoyan, if they were so smart, Liberians would not be suffering today. So obviously they are not smart enough. Anybody can get a degree. Anybody can get an MBA. Anybody can get a master's degree. But in a professional setting, what people look at is your performance, your record. And Burma Kamara, I would say this last time, and I'm going through it, has nothing, no positive record to show that any of the position that he held, especially the central bank governor, the most important independent agency of Liberia that control the whole economy, is being fraught with corruption. All right, the people don't even give a press conference This man has never even written or published a paper on his work, and he wants to be finance minister. How are people supposed to evaluate him when they don't, as a financial professional or economist or anybody in a professional setting? One of the things that people will look at is your publication. That's a very high level position. Your publications will show what are your economic thinkings. What are you going to do? What is the problem? This man, like I said, you mentioned all these people are Carter. All these people are visible. Dr. Joseph Gumpo, professor of economics. All right. Even Emory, they're all out there. They give their views and analysis. Where has Bremer Kamara been for the last 5 years? Why haven't we seen anything he's written? Why can't we have the opportunity to come on a show like this with other financial professionals so that we can have a dialogue and discussion on what is he going to do to help the Liberian people? Then let's go back. This man served on a transitional team. Look at what a disaster it was. Okay, so what has his expertise contributed to the transitional team? Much less as a minister of finance. Look, we take Liberia for granted. The Ministry of Finance is one of the key areas of improving people's lives in our country. There's no time to be trying people and recycling people. This man cannot let him show any evidence of what he's done over the last 8 years or in his professional career. He's never worked in the private sector. A minister of finance should be someone who is well advised with. In fact, here, what they usually do, they either take a former banker or they take someone who has been in the financial arena for a very long time, because you're going to be making policies that affect banking. We're going to be regulating the government financial institution. Then they added development on top of it. To just come here and get a certificate, right, which most of them don't, and I criticize the Gafoya and the American, because these are people that don't even can't have a conversation on finance and economics. How can you be a finance minister or want to be a finance minister when you can't sit down with Carter, you can't sit down with Dr. Gumpo on a forum and have a discussion? What are you going to do when you go to the World Economic Forum? When they start asking you about your employment rate, when they start asking you how much investment is going into industries, when they start asking you what is your health budget, it's going to be another embarrassment. So we shouldn't sit here and support somebody just because they have a degree. If that's the case, everybody in Georgia administration had degrees. Everybody in Ellen Joseph's administration had degrees. They have graduate degrees. What is the result? You go to Rwanda today, there are people who are there making pilots, engineers. Look at the economy. Go to Botswana. Look at the economy. All right. Why Liberia always have to be stuck with the same recycled people that have produced nothing? All our banks except LBDI today. LBDI is literally bankrupt. The 9 banks in Liberia, all the CEOs are foreigners. And these people were the ones who are running things on the Ellen. Why can't Liberia, if he was that qualified, why Echo Bank didn't hire him as president or chief financial officer? Why UB Bank didn't hire him? This man sat around for 5 years. He did nothing. He said you were in Kenya doing some non-profit. We did the research. Nothing. Made up organization. They can only work in Liberian government. Where has he worked in the US or outside of Liberia? What bank has he worked at to show that this man has the experience? He does not have any experience. If you can't in Liberia experience, then that's our problem. Because most of the people in Liberia, most of the people who go to UL could be a great school, but they don't have the equipment. Some of these people don't even know what a Wall Street Journal is, and they got economics degree from University of Liberia.
Okay, so Tommy, great conversation. As I stated, I get where Children's going, and these are valid points, and I think those arguments, those conversations were held the last time he was on the show. Let's be practical. When he says that, we're talking about experience, we're talking about understanding, he means it. Sometimes beyond the degree. it comes with the real life experiences, right? And Lofa will tell you just from a technical standpoint, you can go learn about Cisco router and switches in class, but when you are a network administrator and you start having those complaints and those issues, you have to be practical. You have to understand it. So your level of comfort with consistently solving those issues, it gives you a certain control. Same thing with banking finance, right? And the experience you get working through a tough economy in America during COVID, during the market crash, doing all of those economic experiences, right? They built you differently for long term in a career. And so it is a valid question to ask. And I didn't know he was a central bank governor, because
Yeah,
that's a key point, because
that's
then the argument can be made that when it comes to the monetary policies in Liberia, we've seen the issue with the Liberian currency and how devalued it is, right? We've not seen anything consistent that have given any sort of traction to that particular side, right? In addition to that, though, I keep referencing the Ministry of Finance and the five cabinets, and it's not a joke, absolutely, because one of the most consistent thing that I see in terms of corruption is because we have not been able to find a digital way to be able to manage corruption. You can eliminate it, but you could, and I'll be practical as well and show how practicality plays. How practicality plays. If you go into any banking center, any financial segment, investment, wealth management, whatever it is, when it's time for auditing, when it's time for a lot of those processes, now, before it used to be a little manual, right? To come check that. Now you have a digital process in place now, right? You've seen how banks have actually transcended from manual to digital. Investment firms, right? Financial institutions, all of those different areas. The Ministry of Finance hasn't really given us the level of progress that we needed over the years. And now, using some of those experiences, what is he going to do, to tackle, let's say, in 2 months from now, when we see we're in this, a rising, a rise in terms of the exchange rate in Liberia? Do we run back to the same old failed policies or the same old strategies that only tend to manage things for the short term? And then in a few months from now, we run into the same thing. So I think those are valid concerns. Those are valid points. But I will hope, though, I will really hope that, maybe miraculously, there's something that's changed from his last experience.
miraculous keyword here, miraculous, right?
So, so now, but children, I've said this, for almost 2 3 years. And when I went Liberia again, the same thing. And I think we see a lot of those issues. One of the things that the Ministry of Finance, the central bank, and other financial experts in that environment will have to figure it out is, how can we become multidimensional when it comes to product exploitation in our financial sector banking system? Let me dim it down. If you go to banking Liberia today, there are a lot of DDA options. I'm not sure if anybody experienced anything, but it's just all fixed base, right? There's not any option for variable components. Yes, why that is important, because for a country that constantly runs into a situation wherein you have continue to have inflation, that's not a good look, especially if you talk about fixed products as well. So part of the vision and part of the reason why it makes sense to have people in that position that understand what they're doing and have the level of vision, because we need a complete retooling of the financial sector in Liberia to make sure we have all of those things in place to give business owners, right, the regular consumers, right, all the options needed to be able. And then finally, I also learned that majority of the monies that are actually recycling the banks are just short-term cash, meaning that the Oma wants to pay her son's school fees, she put a little small deposit in, and then she has to take it out. And so there seems to be all of these issues that could, trickles additional economic, or problems. And so this is why it's critical to have people with the requisite experiences to be able to do that. But I hope he will make a come back on the show to be able to ask him the tough questions. But I do understand where he went with this. I wouldn't be as nasty as it was, but those are questions that I think they need to be answered.
No, but and let me just chime in here real quick, and I guess Tomalin can welcome Dylan on. Um, And these are some of the reasons why some of us will often say, um, the expectation from Honorable Boycott was high, and it's still high. With some of us were hoping that prior to these nominations, we would have had independent vetting committees to have done the vetting aspect of these things, because all of these different things that we're discussing here, okay, tenure at certain position, work experience, productivity, all of these things would have been evaluated and then hopefully on brought up for discussion. Here we are now talking about, in addition to his 18 months, okay, he also had time at the central bank. The reason why, Tomalin, and you can admit to this, any one of you on this platform, the reason why we have 90 days probationary period at any job, almost most jobs, okay, some of them will give you 12 months, but 90 days probationary period is because they want to evaluate your performance. They want to know what you have to offer. So with him having to have had 18 months, that is enough to show his ability. Okay. And prior to him having to have accepted that job, he knew the length of time that he needed to be there. So to be honest with you, I think what when I'm listening to Alex and Duke talk about his past performance, I think it should be heavily evaluated. But those who conducted the confirmation hearing today, let's look at the background though. Will he just simply be pushed on because they didn't have, or they don't have the experience to really question someone from a financial background? Of course, I can honestly tell you that the possibility here is he will probably get through with a flying color as compared to having to have experienced the thorough investigation, or that he needed to have gone through. No.
Well, before I go to Peabody, let me welcome Mr. Dillon, Willie Dillon, and Mr. Gabriel Carter. Welcome to the closing argument.
Oh,
Uh, but Peabody, look, gentlemen, let me say this again. Election has consequences. President Boyka won the election, and he chooses who he wants in his government is his prerogative. And I believe, again, I'll stay. If I followed the confirmation hearing of the Minister of Finance, Development Planning Designate, and on the other area boss, and I think if everybody have their own opinion about the process, but I think those who are asking the questions, most of these guys have areas in, like, I know Nukwe, the chair of the committee, Albert Chair. These are all financial guys, and they ask the questions that they need to be asked. And I think they stood their ground, answered this question. And again, I believe too, looking at the performance of Mr. Kamara, and I followed, I think, his activities. I think he's up to the task for this job, and if given the opportunity and the support, I think he will bring a lot to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. So again, I personally I believe, uh, you won't believe it. I've not met this guy in person before, but I've been following him. I think his activities. I think he's up to the task, and he will he will justify the confidence reposed in him by the president. So I would not denigrate him, trying to question his competence, because I believe, Mr. Kamara, he knows about him. He knows what he heading into, and I think he will prove himself in the next few months. Let's wait and see how he performs. But Peabody, you want to weigh in?
Well, Timothy, I come from a very limited financial background in terms of, but at least I can still understand when it comes to the financial sector of our country. But I think listening to Boyma Kamara, this is not the first time that I've listened to him. Uh, Watching, I think listening to Boyma Kamara today, I think it sounds like somebody who knows what he's talking about our economy. I mean, I don't want to put him down. Boyma have worked with the Liberian government. He came to the U.S. He did his master, and his last job was with the World Bank, I believe. So I'm not sure. I would give him the opportunity to start and begin. In that way, we can actually determine what he's doing or what he has put in place. But he's just been nominated for that position. He will confirm today, I believe. But I think we should give him the opportunity to really come up with his plan, his first 90-day plan, and see. I don't know whether that question will ask what is his plan for his 90 days plan and all of that for the economy. But I think just listening to him, if we want to judge him based on his qualification, I think I would say that he didn't sound like somebody that was unqualified to me or didn't know that don't know that job.
Yes. Before we go to Mr. Dillon, Mr. Carter, Mr. Jules, you want to weigh in again before we go to the guys who just joined us?
Yeah, and I think these guys are all financial experts, in my opinion. These are people with lots of years working in the industry, and they can speak for themselves. Nobody's cahooving against anybody. We all Liberians and we want to see the country improve. We want to see our GDP go up. Right now, we're 4 billion. We are half of what Somalia economy is. We want to see a plan. And I'm just disappointed that someone who is a finance minister has not published any plan, any paper, anything towards that respect. What are you going to do about the economy? What are you going to do about employment? We've been completely absent. If you told me that Larry Kennedy was a finance minister, you know what? I know Larry Kennedy. I've read his work. I've had conversation with him. I can trust that he's qualified. If you told me that Willie Dillon, he has expertise. But you can bring somebody who disappears only when they're in government, disappear for 5 years and then they pop out of the blue, no interview about what the ready issues are in Liberia. This man is a politician. Okay. So of course politicians are going to make a good impression. We know that from Samuel Tuet. Politicians, and Samuel Tuet is an excellent financial guy. Let me just say this. And I wrote a paper I published on Front Page Africa when Samuel Tuet was appointed to that position. I say he was very qualified because he worked in the industry and he had real world experience. But Burma Kamara, I'm sorry. The fact remains, time will tell. But this is my position. I think this is the least man. Moda, very qualified, very experienced. I have nothing to say. Maybe his connection and his conflict of interest with Joseph Boakai, I think he's a nephew. I have a problem with that. But when it comes to qualification, we had discussions. So people in the financial industry know each other. It's like, yeah, you're not going to appoint a treasury secretary that nobody in the financial industry have heard about or respect. So you can hear from the rest of the guys and we can move forward.
Welcome again to the closing argument. We are live on the radios in Liberia, True FM and Hard FM, and we have also been simulcast on several radio stations across the country. And we are right now almost the 2,000 mark, 2,000 Liberians across the world watching us live. But we would like to hear from Mr. Willie Dillon, Professor Kennedy. It's good you are here too, and these financial people now. But I believe that you guys will help us with this puzzle before we move on to our next topic. But today, confirmation hearings for the Minister of Finance designate, Boakai Kamara, and the Controller of the General of the Liberian Revenue Authority.
What is going on? I think this is my
Yeah, two excellent public servants. I've come to respect and admired. Daba Jala, somebody who I have high regards for, and a man of integrity who I believe will justify the confidence reposed in him. But what's your thoughts if you watch the confirmation hearing today of Minister Kamara and Mr. Jala? What's your thoughts about these two public servants that have been asked to serve our country?
Yeah, so I watched it earlier today, and I try to remain hopeful. Mr. Kamara, he's very much he has the training, so he has been trained in the financial world, and he did work at the finance ministry before during the not the past regime, but the one before that, with the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. So I would say that he has the requisite qualifications, but I don't really think that there has been a financial plan set up or set presented to us to where we know which direction the country is going to be going to. Just looking at him and his training and his somehow limited experience, I can just remain hopeful and hope that he would be able to usher in something positive for the country. But nothing happens without proper planning and proper execution. So looking at the way this administration is coming in the door, it seemed like they are trying to get their feet wet and they fully have not yet put things together. Though I'm hopeful, I'm skeptical. And I'm watching. I'm on the fence, and I'm hoping for the best. And I hope we move in the right direction.
You're good.
Before I leave you, let me ask you: do you believe? I mean, do you have confidence or believe that Mr. Kamara is the right pick for this job for Minister of Finance? Believe it?
I don't know if this is my network or is there something wrong with StreamYard, but I keep.
No, it's from your end. It's from your. Now, what do you use? Well,
Let's
talk in the back. Let's talk in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk in the back, Carter.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Dillon.
Sorry, Dillon. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm hopeful. But if I were to be involved with the selection process, I would say no. I would not have selected him. We need real technical expertise. We need people at this point in time when something is broken, when your car breaks down, you want a good mechanic. You want an experienced mechanic. If you have a severe situation, let's say you have a luxury car, you will want to go to someone who specializes in that. We have a system that's broken, and we really need expertise.
Dillon just went up.
You can help the guys in the back.
Yeah. Carter, you should be
Yeah.
good. There you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's back.
Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
go ahead, Dillon.
Yeah. So we have a. I think the vice president or the president, I'm sorry, at the moment now stated one time that he was like a car that was parked in the garage. So I'm using the same car analogy to say if you have a car that's broken, especially if it's a specific type of car, you need a specific mechanic with specific expertise to make sure he gets the job done. And so just looking at Mr. Kamara, I feel that his experience is somehow limited. And so for where we are right now, I would say that we need someone who would have connections internationally. Also, someone who has actual expertise with this type of economy, this type of situation we have in Liberia, in order to hit the ground running. But I wouldn't say that I'm fully confident that Mr. Kamara would be able to do that. He seems, from my perspective, and it's just me looking at it as a financial professional myself, he seems like someone who will follow orders and do as he's told. But at this point, we need innovation. We need foresight. We need people that would be able to do things in a way that's a lot different from the things we've been doing in the past in order to come up with new solutions to these problems that we have. And I don't see that with Mr. Kamara, no.
Wow.
Yeah,
what's your
can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Perfect. Yeah, and I kind of draw the same line, I kind of support what Dillon said as well. We've talked to Mr. Kamara, I think, several times, and I think he's a former Minister of Finance, right? And he's, maybe know his way around the department or the ministry. But in a sense, I'm looking at it from where we are as a country, and I think that's something Dillon alluded to, right? Where we are, you need somebody who is, I'm not saying he's not well polished, and someone who was struggling right now to even get a consistent revenue at a certain point, right? So we need somebody who's going to think outside of the box in terms of how do I keep the country fiscal house in order, one, but also what type of innovative way am I going to bring to maybe take the revenue up to $1 billion, or even one of the things that Mr. Larry is a big proponent of is, get our credit rating to pretty much get us off of this whole dependency on the IMF and the multinational development banks. So I'm not sure if he's he has that level of thinking to do that. But as I said, you can always give somebody the benefit of the doubt, and let's give him the first 2 years and see if he does something new and to shift the to use to shift the country in a different direction than what we
Wow. These financial guys are talking.
So,
DK,
somebody said, Lofa brought the
yeah.
big financial guns.
Can you guys hear
No,
me?
these are just Liberians.
well, I think I sent a link to this show. I mean, I sent the show to the
Hello?
link to the show to the Minister of Finance and Destiny. I hope maybe he's by now he's watching it. I hope just to get a feel what's happening. But Professor Larry Kennedy, you are the professor here. You will help us. I don't know what's your. I mean, I'm sure I don't know what you
Hello?
witnessed the confirmation hearing today. If you did, or whatever the case, but what's your take on the two nominees before the Senate
Can you
today?
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Tomalin, guys, thanks so much for the invite, man. Always a pleasure to be on the closing argument. So I think Chuchu summarized it best when he said, time will tell, and you have to give people sometimes the benefit of the doubt. But to the point that a lot of people have been making, you need financial innovation. This thing doesn't just boil down to someone who is purely an economist. We've seen the economists from Madam Sirleaf to Minister Tware. We've seen the economists come in and they haven't been able to turn this thing around. We noticed that in places like Ghana, they were able to turn the thing around because the Minister of Finance, who has experience working at Morgan Stanley, he brought in financial innovation. And I think this is what Willie has mentioned as well. You need financial innovation.
Yeah.
You need a way to build the financial sector. I've been saying this, and one time I put it in a post. Samuel Tware wanted to argue with me that no, I made a post saying no country has developed without developing the financial sector. You need a way to get money from people who are saving it under the mattress because they don't trust the financial sector. To bring that money into the financial sector, the people who we call the unbanked because they're not using the banking system. Because when you bring that money in there and you strengthen the financial sector, you're able now to get people who are interested in investing, who has collateral, can invest. Because it is the investors, the small business people that lead to job growth in any country. You see it in America all the time. It's the small business people that are leading the job growth and innovation in this country. So when I said that some of the esteemed CDC guys in the finance side said, oh, I was wrong. This is why when you look at the Propo agenda, it couldn't, I don't know how many jobs they were supposed to materialize, 1 million jobs or so. That never happened. But what I think, and in fact, in with his testimony, he said something that was profound, which had me kind of nervous because he said there are situations. He said you have to look at the judiciary system. Let me just kind of lay the framework. He said there are situations where people who owe money will sue the bank and go to court and stand a chance of winning against the bank that they owe money to. The only other place I can remember seeing that happen was when President Trump, who at one time Deutsche Bank was interested in having a footprint in the American banking system. They were looking for a way to come and start within the American banking system. So they felt they needed to connect with someone. At the time, Trump was pretty big in New York. And this was the time that JP Morgan was interested in merging with someone, maybe at Deutsche Bank. But they loaned a ton of money, hundreds of millions to Trump, which is part of the reason why he's in trouble today. But Trump didn't pay back the money. And he turned around and sued Deutsche Bank for stressing him to pay back the money. That's the only other time I can remember somebody suing a bank and winning. So when Butler Kamara mentioned that, I'm like, people are so that in fact is going to frighten investors from coming to the country because investors are saying, how can I come to your country if you don't have a strong judiciary system? If something were to happen to my money, like we saw what happened under Madam Sirleaf administration, investors coming to the country being robbed by people at the NSA. Nothing come out of it. That, my friend, is the reason why you won't have investors coming to your country. You have to strengthen the judicial system. So when Butler Kamara mentioned that, I was like, wow. But here's the thing. He will need to bring, if he's not strong on the financial innovation, he will need to bring some people who are strong in that space around him. Because you cannot sit in Liberia with all of your resources. Monrovia is the wettest capital in the world. You have all of that rain, but you still have people who are dying from diarrhea disease because you're drinking dirty water. You have no way to get the capital to source clean water. You have an abundance of sun, but you have a majority of the population is still in darkness. You are struggling for your road connectivity. And that is because you just don't have the money, you just don't have the capacity, you just don't have the ability to get these things done. The old-fashioned way of relying on, and I listened to the president's State of the Nation address where he talked about getting money from the EU, the World Bank. He talked about USAID, United Kingdom aid, German bank, Saudi fund, Kuwaiti fund, all these different donors. We tried that thing for decades. It hasn't worked. And the mere fact that you're in the ECF program, they have a stranglehold on you in terms of the way you're going to get money. So Bwana Kamara only means of success would be for him to bring people who have financial, economics, practical experience, not just the theoretical stuff. You go sit in a classroom and you learn this thing on paper. This is why I always used to tell my students, I said, the stuff you're reading in these economics and financial textbook I'm showing you, that's not how we do it on Wall Street. Because someone sat there and theoretically saying, oh, this is how it is done. That's not the way we were doing it. It's kind of similar, but because you're able to kind of pivot and change direction when the market changes, that's the reason why we're kind of innovative, at JP Morgan. So let me close on this real quick, Tomalin. The U.S. government is involved in a lot of things. If you're depending on use it for money, you're going to be waiting in vain. Here's why. You see what's going on in Yemen. This whole Ukraine, Russia war, this whole Hamas and Israel war. There are proxy wars going on right now. Ships that normally go through the Red Sea to get to the Suez Canal, they're having to travel all the way down the Cape of Good Hope and go around Africa. It's going to increase the prices of goods on the market. The Liberian currency has been depreciating, it's been dropping like a rock. That means the prices, when your currency fall, I think one USD is maybe equal to maybe like 190 LRDs. Prices automatically becomes a lot more. Things become expensive for the poor people because a lot of their income goes to buying the bare necessities. So the old way of doing things, relying on foreign donors, is not going to work. How do I know? I've seen it tried before and it hasn't worked. So I don't know what juju or sasa wood you're going to put on it for it to work this time, but it's not going to work. So you need to try something a little bit different, man. It's that whole thing that Cummings says all the time, and we know where it came from. You can't keep trying the same old thing and expecting different results, right? So I would give Bwana Kamara the benefit of the doubt, but close on what Chuchu said. Yeah, time will tell. Let's see who he brings around him.
Yeah. We just spent about 3 more minutes on this issue. Then we'll move to our next. But before that, let me just welcome Grace Arake Goa. Grace, at least you make our platform look nice, Grace. At least you're only female, so thank you.
But tell me,
at least. But it's good to. And the chairman is here. Chairman Sanvee is here, and Keff is back. But it's good.
Grace are waiting for me to come.
We'll give Grace and Keff Ben maybe 1 minute each to touch on this confirmation hearing today before we move to our issue on talking about technology. But we'll talk about on this confirmation hearing for Bwana Kamara and Double Jala. We'll start with Grace, and then Ben and Keff can just weigh in.
Well, Tomalin, you don't even tell me anything about the topic, and you just bring me like, okay, Grace need to talk. I don't know Bwana Kamara like that. I didn't even notice the confirmation hearing. What I would do is I would plead the fifth at this point in time, and I hope he does better since he's confirmed. Is he confirmed already?
No, it's still.
Oh, okay.
I know tomorrow the governor of the central bank, he's supposed to appear before the Senate and the House. I think maybe after he appears, maybe they will vote on his confirmation. Who knows? But go ahead.
Yeah, so I will plead the fifth on it, but for me, because his name has been heard before, he was in the government before, he left with some blemish. So I thought that Honorable President Bwaka was going to make a whole different decision on the finance minister instead of him, but then that's what he did. So I'm going to wait until the confirmation hearing, and I have nothing else to add or subtract on this topic.
Wow, BK intro way on the platform today. But let's go, Kev, Ben.
So I go first or Kev? Okay. Well, first of all, let me say I'm excited. I'm excited to see the platform. I see my good friend Willie Dillon, Alex Chuchu Jones, my friend who likes to give me hard time, who admires me but like to give me hard time. He can deal with me and he can deal with me. So
Truth is, everybody hard time. He just been shooting dynamite out there lately,
you
man.
never know where Alex is coming from on a normal day, so just get ready for him, right? Because he's, but
so true, so true.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and he brings a lot of life to the platform.
Oh yeah, that's true though.
Alex, thank you for joining us. Lofa, obviously, Duke, our runaway brother, who decided he's staying. He can't find me yet, but it's okay. I will
PR for it. He said they said somebody changed his name to PR 480.
PR 480. We're gonna discuss PR 480 or one of these days.
We change it to the 16 billion.
But guys, it's great to be here, Larry. Thank you. But let me say this, and I apologize for joining late. I had something I had to run to do. But let me say this: I did listen to the confirmation hearing today from Boma and LRA in the Doba Jala, who I have a great amount of respect for. I think Doba is going to do great. Just based on his track record. There are a couple of things that I pinpointed out of Boyman's statement, and I'm going to be very, very strategic and pointed when it comes to Boyman, because before the elections, right, Boyman was on different platforms. He's on the record. There's certain things that he called for, certain things that he saw. When you were in a particular position and you leave, you get a chance to have a vantage view, right? And you can see everything that you didn't see when you were there. And then seldom you get a chance to go back into that position. That's the kind of position that Boyman has found himself in. So a couple of things that I picked up today, I think specifically Senator Dillon asked him clearly about the harmonization. He asked him about the raising of civil servant salary. He asked him about the increase in revenue. And something Larry talks about on this platform all the time is increasing, growing the pie, right? Larry, and also I know Alex Cummings talked about this all through the election, that you can have all of these lofty plans, you can have all of these ideas, all of these things you want to do. Not only, and let me also give Clarence Monimba some credit here, because I know he also talked about growing the pie. When you have all of these dreams and all of these things that you want to see happen, the question is, how are you going to pay for it? I never got that from him today. I am trying to figure out, what is this government going to do to get more revenue? That is the $1 million question. Are we going back to the 1960s? Are we going back to the traditional extractive industry economy that we have been used to in our country? We don't have to. That is the good news. We don't have to, because other countries are pivoting. And I think that's where someone like Alex, Larry, Willie, all of us, right? We can help, because at the end of the day, we don't want this government to fail, right? Listen, I don't want them to fail, because we don't have 6 years to waste. I think they need to start to think outside of the box. They need to start to think about including technology. They need to start to be smart about how they deal with these issues. The next time I see Boyman in America, or I see Doba Jala in America, or I see any of these officials in America, I don't want to see them stuck in a hotel in Washington, D.C. I want to see them doing things differently. I want to see them talking to hedge funds manager, because let me tell you something. There's no more free lunch out there, guys. There's no more free lunch. You are competing against nations now who have leapfrogged ahead of you. You're competing against Sierra Leone. You're competing against Ghana. You're competing against Rwanda. You are competing against these countries that are not discussing rubber and palm oil and all these regular extractive things. They're discussing ICT. They're discussing human capacity. What I wanted to hear from Boyman Kamara today was transformational. I did not get it. I'm sorry. I just did not get it from him today. I did not see him lay out a bold vision. I heard him say, well, I've advised the president on a hiring freeze. Hey, but you ran on the message that you were going to raise people's salary. You ran on the message that CDC harmonized jobs. They harmonized salaries. You ran on the message that you were going to, once you come in, because guess what? You have the expertise. And for the last 6 years, there were a bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing according to you. So you cannot come on the stage anymore and spew the same regular rhetorics and spew the same regular things. Oh, you know what? We're gonna add maybe we're gonna cut salaries. I heard Boyman saying something about travel. Really, Boyman? How do we track that ministers are not flying business class? If I'm a minister and you tell me there is the standard policy of the government not to travel business class, I can come back and say that I use my miles. How are you going to track it? How are we going to track these things? Is this thing going to be public? Are we going to make it public? And listen, the Unity Party got its job cut out for them. This is going to be the most scrutinized Liberian government ever in the history of our country, because our people and the faces on this platform and on many platforms, right, are not going to take the same things that, they're not going to fall for the same old rhetorics that we've heard in the past. So what I wanted to hear today, and by the way, kudos to the Minister of Education designate. I heard some cutting edge, some smart things from her also. I heard some things from her. That's what I wanted to hear from Boyman today. I wanted to hear him talk about, how am I going to grow this pie? How am I going to get this budget to 1 billion? By the way, 1 billion is not enough. How am I going to figure out that we have a wage bill of 300 plus million when we have thousands of partisans who, in their mind, the only way they can have they can put food on the table is by getting employed in government? How are we going to make Liberia to rise in the doing business index of the World Bank? How are we going to cut the red tapes for somebody to go start a business and not have to figure out going to go pay a bribe? How are we going to do these things? Mr. Minister of Finance, are you going to be working with the Liberian Business Registry? Are you going to cut that time? Will a citizen, will a diasporan Liberian be able to go on the internet and register his or her business and get their business registration documents in 24 or 48 hours? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking forward to hearing. Because guess what? Amakone is my big brother, but I told him the other day when we and he were talking, I said, I'm not managing my expectations, because your campaign was ran purely based on the notion that you knew what you were going to be doing. You knew that on day one, you were going to hit the ground running. So listen, I think what I got today, right, was the same old, and hopefully we can get Boyman to come on this show at some point. I got the same old, well, we're gonna try to make sure that people will not fly business class. We're gonna cut gas slips. I don't think people even who's still getting gas slips in Liberia. I'm trying to figure out who's still using gas slips in Liberia. Those things don't fly anymore. Give me cutting edge solutions. Let me sit when I watch you. Let me sit down in my seat and say, "Damn,
wow! I want the wow moment."
Yeah, let me say, "Wow, these guys are up for business." I did not get that. It's the same thing I said on Monday when we're talking about the president's Sona, right? I never got that. That feeling when you hear the person speak, you're like, "Damn." we something about to happen here. I'm waiting to hear it happen. But I will say, I know we're going to go into the technology component, and that's something I want to talk about because I'm a huge fan of that. I believe at the end of the day, those are the kind of decisions that will be made by this government that will make us to leapfrog into the future. But Larry, I agree with you. I agree with what Alex has said. I agree with all of you. Listen, we can't shortchange ourselves anymore. They wanted this job. They got this job. 6 years. Look, there are other countries, guys. Ghana has 4-year presidential term. They're making transformative decisions.
Yeah.
6. You don't have 2 or 3 months to rest. Hit the ground running. If you got to hire consultants, hire consultants. Don't be afraid to bring talent. Pick up the phone and call Larry Kennedy. Pick up the phone and call Alex Jones and say, listen, guys, we need some help here. Pick up the phone and call Grace. I don't care what you do. What can we do to leapfrog into the 21st century? Because from what I heard today, I'm sorry, guys. I think it's the same business as usual. And I think 6 years down the line, we're going to just be talking about the fact that we're expanding one road from this place to that place. And they're just talking about 2 lanes when we should be talking about super highways. Now, I'm not irrational, but I'm also not going to be content in my aspirations for my country.
Wow.
I think we need to expand on this, man. We can't just limit the next session on technology, but this is
this is an interesting topic. When you bring this
Yeah,
thing
but we can mix it all up. We can mix it all
yeah,
up.
because
But
a lot of
so I think we have to go. I think we have to go to the technology side because there's more into it. Because let me say this. Let me say this to you guys. Watching Muammar Kamara, you can actually feel and see the deception. We're talking about the last finance minister before our government took office. How much was in the account? $7 million. That was the amounts were in their account. $7 million. To see Amara is talking about the country today like they left the country in a better position. That's the deception. So I spoke on it earlier on what Ben was talking about. I want us to go to technology, not to eat up the time. But we'll come back to it so we can expand on what Amara and the UP government left before our government took office. We couldn't even pay the first bill. We couldn't even pay the first check to civil servant. Nothing. They forced our government to go into harmonization. We had to go into harmonization because of the state, because of what we met at that time. So when I saw him today, just acting like, his tenure at that time, the country was better. That's the pure deception. That's the thing that makes some of us don't sleep at night. Why this country is going this way? You left you left under 100,000 the coffers under 100 million. Now you're getting 222 million. You're getting 40 million. By the way, I think he will be. They're going to call him back in the Senate because after the CBL will come out with a report, they'll call him back because he lied on the oath. Because the actual fact will come out. Amara gonna get the actual fact. You get the details with him as we speak. Tomorrow, they should be the central bank should be at the lower house. The truth will come out this week, and he will be called back to the Senate because he lied on the oath. But I think they gave JMB the wrong statement. I think they fooled JMB. I think they wanted to play politics with the whole thing. I think what I saw today, I saw a guy who feel that I'm going after Samet Sweat versus coming up with new things, how to build this country. Then again, I touched on it earlier, and Ben saying the same thing. The key slogan, what they ran on, what they explained to the people. Now they say, no, we can't do it. They asked him about harmonization. He beat around the bush. He can't do it. Guys, where are we heading to? So I think this time in Liberia, everybody needs to speak the truth. Amara and Obama Kamara is meeting this. They're actually inheriting a better country, a better economy than what our government made, and that's a fact. But I will leave. I will leave it for here. We'll go into it, and Mr. Dylan out there is a financial expert. Larry there, Mr. Alex here. We can look at the numbers. And some of us we are simple guys who don't know anything, but numbers don't lie.
Well, Willie, would you let us still a disclaimer? You have no relationship with Darius DeLonte. People want.
For what? I mean,
So
did someone?
I'm just messing with you, bro.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let me progress.
Can I say something quickly to Kev? Kev, this government
with
is
it.
our government. The last government was our government. Every government that come in power is the government of Liberia. So don't separate. I just hope you would just say our government.
I got a,
Georgia government was before us.
Well, I'm a opposition. It's the Liberian People government. Yes, I agree with you, but I will always talk about my government's, success.
You mean my government?
Hmm?
So the last government was my government too. This
Yeah,
government is my government as well.
Of course, I agree with you. It's Liberian People government. I agree with you.
Okay. Hopefully, before the show ends, we'll get. Hopefully, the guys will have time to weigh in on this controversy right now about this $40 billion left in the consolidated account. But quickly, let us jump to this thing. People been pushing us, Liberians are asking about this thing. In President Boyka's State of the Nation address, this is one of the areas he spoke of. Let us discuss it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and I quote, "We intend to change this state of the economy by thinking outside the box. A paradigm shift away from reliance on primary commodity export to focus on value addition, the private sector as an engine to drive the economy. Under my administration, the empowerment of Liberian entrepreneurship through more support will help bring back the Made in Liberia quest for inclusive and sustainable growth and jobs." Now, here's the point. In our quest to expand the economy, we will leverage information communication technology, ICT, in creating jobs, especially for our youth. To achieve this, my administration will train up to 10,000 young people in various digital skills in the first half of 2024. The Liberian middle class goal must be a reality in the next 6 years. Now, the LTA president, the present LTA, they have already on this direction. They have brought about this initiative already, and I think it's just in line with President Boyka's vision for it. But people are asking, how will we get to this point? How will we achieve this? So we want to give you guys the opportunity to at least weigh in on this. But we'll start with Ben Sanvee as we get into this on this technology era. Ben, let's get the ball rolling.
I feel like I'm in the top in the sense I can't leave.
Ben, please, Ben, 2 minutes.
Nah, just cut it down, Ben.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it down. But let me say this. First of all, and I'll pivot soon. I just want to say one of the things that I was excited about in the president's State of the Nation address was him highlighting the issue of ICT, because I think it's hard time and it's long overdue. So I give President Boyka a lot of credit for even putting that on his agenda. I think it's an ambitious goal to say that he's going to train 10,000 young people in ICT in 6 months. I think that's what the statement says in his statement. So I give him a lot of credit. But guess what? There's nothing wrong with being ambitious. You may fall short, but you will start the process. What I do want to say, though, is that I also know that, and this I'm speaking from firsthand knowledge, because I do have some documents, and I can share it with you guys. I think what we'll do is probably open kind of like a chat room or something where everybody can be able to share some of this information. I do know that the current Liberia Telecommunications Authority has actually leapfrogged in this direction. They have an active plan. I think the plan was actually about to get funded. From what I understand, they've been working with different stakeholders and different partners, specifically on training people in relations to the issue of ICT, talking about the issue of digitization of our government, talking about the National Identification Registry, all of these things that we're talking about, right? When you look at the issue of elections credibility, when you look at the issue of the identification, how, almost like a social security scheme, right? Where you have a social security a number. Now, there may be some challenges, but I think there's a lot of positive that can come out of this. And with presidential blessing, I think this is a great news for the country. That part, I gave the president a lot of kudos on. I think he was very forceful. Again, like I say, I think his his ambition of training these young people. I know people are talking about, oh, what jobs will they do after, right? The good news is once these young men and women are trained, you're not taking the knowledge from the head, right? It gives you an opportunity because guess what, guys? There are companies and multilateral concessions that come into our country that have to bring people from Ghana and Sierra Leone to do certain jobs because our young people are not trained in these directions. Listen, my 10-year-old daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, I don't want to talk about my 18-year-old son. By the way, yes, I do have an 18-year-old son, so I don't think I'm not too old, but I started a long time ago. Let me say this. My 10-year-old daughter have the capacity. My 8-year-old daughter is doing coding. She's doing coding. The only difference between my daughter and that child in Liberia is opportunity. It's access to opportunity. That's the only difference. And so when you look at what the LTA has been doing, right? I was reading this document, fully extensive, and I may commend the commissioners there, right? Headed by Edwina Zakba. I think that's her last name, Zakba, right? Very smart woman, somebody who is a professional. What I think the president needs to do, and hopefully maybe this didn't reach to him in his briefing. I hope it did. But I would say he's not starting from ground zero on this issue. What I think he needs to do is to build on what they've started to do. Like I said, reaching out, figuring out a way. How can it be funded? Working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, working with the setting up. Look, I'm a huge fan of task force. I'm not talking about just task force where you set up and they don't do anything, right? Setting up a task force, giving them an immediate direction to say, hey, give me a result on this issue. And guess what? I know for sure. Let us hammer in on this, because when you look at their plan, when you look at what they have done, when you look at the issue of the capacity, I think this is a starting point that the president can build on. And I want to congratulate the president for doing that. I think it is hard time. And we need more Liberian leaders to take on that responsibility to start to deal with this issue of ICT. Because guess what, Lofa? You are into technology. You know how technology makes your people's lives easier, right? In Liberia, there are a lot of things that we can harness with technology that we're still wasting our time doing things from a manual standpoint. So I want to say kudos to the LTA. I want to say kudos to the president of Liberia. Let them build on what they already have started to do, and then we can be able to see us leapfrogging into the future by harnessing all of the things that he's talking about. Tourism, all of those things are all tied into technology. The good news is we already have a plan. And from that plan that I have seen, and I don't mind sharing it with the rest of the folks. I think, Tomalin, I sent it to you earlier because when I've been something I've been very particular about. I think we can share with the rest of the guys, and let's put the conversation on the table, and let's see how the president can move this thing forward with the requisite support that our government can give, so that these things can start to move in the direction. Liberia has a bright future. We just need to be deliberate and intentional and muster the political will to be able to do these things.
Yes, I want also to add, to congratulate the LTA.
I see another 2 minutes, right, Lofa?
You passed. The LTA head, Winner Crumbs. I think she and her team, they are doing a great job, and they are introducing this thing. And apparently, the mayor spoke to the president, but they're all on the same vision. They're all heading the same way. And the good thing about it is that the present LTA officials, they are all there for another 2 years. So they'll have 2 more years on the tenure. So that's a good thing. So I think they'll be able to carry on this endeavor. But let's start with the panel. Everybody can weigh in 2 minutes on this. We'll go to Duke, then we'll go to Jones, and the rest of the people will go. Let's go, Duke. Share your thoughts on this.
By the way, the first thing I want to say, I do this with race on my eyebrows. Kev, CDC did not leave Liberia a better country. Let's establish the fact, number one. Number two, it's good to recognize the efforts of people who started something. But let me remind you, people forget. The ANC True Comics started providing those basic teachings for some of the partisans. They had an entire room with internet service the kids could go and use. I ran programs here along with my team, virtually, where these children were being able to have access to platforms here to be able to build the skill sets as well. This is why I believe it is doable. And Lofa will agree.
Some of those things, if you live with the right people, you don't even need to spend money, right, for the program, because a lot of these universities have, and the government has got partnership with these institutions, by the way, they can access these courses for free, these trainings. All of these things are done on the virtual platform. The only issue is implementation, right? And after you've empowered those young people, where do they turn to in terms of jobs? That's going to be one of the biggest things, to look at. Um, in addition to that, Tomlin, I like the whole conversation, the way in which we went into the finance part, and the qualifications as well. By the way, I love finance and technology because this is what I built myself for, and I think I need to set that premise. I was a young man, coming into this. I really love technology, and so I got a degree in engineering and then computational science, and then I love finance, and I got a degree in finance, and I did a 17 years in that. Worked for some of the top firms in America, from the Curve, from the Merrill Lynch, from the Wells Fargo advisors. I've actually managed portfolios. And so this is why I have passion for these things, and I bring a practical perspective to them. The professor said something, and I mentioned professor because I love his thought process, and he just laid it out there. We don't need to use jargons to understand the challenges we face in Liberia. The right day. It is no longer about, reducing who's going to ride on, public flights or business class. It's not that. It is about actually looking from a vision perspective. Like Ben said, talking to hedge funds. We're talking about options. We're talking about derivatives, right? We're talking about futures, right? We're looking at that part of finance, how we can leverage those to be able to get the kind of funding we need to sponsor key programs that will have shift those economies. So while those other countries like Ghana are tapping into that aspect of finance, we are still lurking behind because a lot of the people we're put in front of these things don't even understand these concepts, and they don't know how to be able to use them to, better the economy. And this is the challenging part. We have to graduate from the University of Liberia Palava Heart Economics. This is nothing negative, right? To understanding that we're in a globalized economy where now, my people, you're talking about retirement accounts where companies are prioritizing social funds, meaning that if I don't like to smoke, I'm not going to put my money in a company that sponsors smoking. I can invest it into another fund that stands for. I'm only bringing that to perspective because I want to tell you how advanced other nations of the economies are. And this is what we need to be looking at. And I think this is some of the challenges, or these are some of the challenges that the finance minister and those at commerce ministry will have to figure out. How can we make sure we're protecting our businesses who are putting the money? Because a lot of these people are putting the money in the banks for operational costs. It's a problem when you go to take your money out, like we saw during the CDC time. You can't even get your money out to be able to run your businesses because the banks there are short on liquidity. So I think these are the key issues. But look, I welcome the technology aspect. My recommendation to the current administration is look at professionals outside. They don't need money from you. In the diaspora, talk to these people about how you can leverage some of these free platforms, how you can even leverage the expertise to be able to help empower some of those people, but then find a way, instead of appointing new committees and putting money into those people to spend, use the money that you're saving to make sure we're creating opportunities of jobs in the private sector. And I think their challenge is not going to be how many people they employ in government, but how they're creating a functioning private sector, because small businesses are what drives a functioning economy, and we have to find a way to get small businesses going in that country.
Yes, look, the LTA. I hope the LTA can share their vision. I hope they either share their vision with the public and also have someone to come and talk more about this, because I think what the president said in his speech and what the LTA is doing right now, as we see, I think there's all in the same direction. So I hope they will have the time to. We invite them to come and share this, share the vision about this aspect of what the president said in his speech. But it's interesting, and we'll pray that if this is followed through, it will drive growth and growth into our economy and so forth. But let's hear from Alex Jones. Let me hear his view on this now.
Tomalin, if you don't mind, I hate to kind of jump in here. Though I know you hosting here, but please, let me just appeal. My sister Grace is the only lady on here. Can she please go before a lot of the guys? Please let give her some
Oh,
room to
anyway,
please.
okay, Grace. Yes, okay, Alex.
Yeah, yeah,
I
Alex is
agree.
out of
I
people.
agree with
I
Lufa.
indulge. Yes,
Lufa, I agree
please.
with you, man. I agree
Please.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay for some of the guys to go before me. I don't mind. But I think it's a very good vision that the president had come up with, and then the initiative is great. Would be good for the country. My thing is that whether it's going to work the way it's supposed to work with the kind of system that we have, and if they have the right people trained and they make sure it's implemented, it's going to be easier for us to be able to do a lot of good things in Liberia using the system, especially when it comes to this. And it will stop the bribing. All the bribes are going on because when the system is working like that and everything is out here, it's hard for you to be taking money on a cover, and asking people for money that they're not supposed to pay. So we hope that would be able to be the best thing that Joseph Waka government would do. It will help to transform the nation. That's the transformation we are looking for. And also, after it's established, they should use the right people that are trained to actually be able to implement this, because the who know you hiring process is killing the country. So people are trained, yeah, but when they already the government train these people, when they come back to the country to work, they can't work because the other people, family members, are in the position and they don't really know what they're doing. So that is going to be one of the things that will stop with everything they do, even if they bring it into the country and they start to implement it in the system and make it happen. If they don't have the right people to implement in the system and actually teach the public, it's going to be hard for the country to even prosper with that kind of technology. And I just wanted to share quickly that there was this guy who reached out to me in the campaign, and he was telling me, that he was sent to, I think, one country abroad to train for certain position in Liberia. And he went to school for almost 4 years. They paid his school fee and everything was paid. He would give it to them. They did everything for him that they needed to do. When he came back to Liberia to work, they couldn't put him in the position because they had somebody there. The person did not know what they were doing, but they wanted him to help the person and then just sit on the side. And it was not right. So all these ideas are very beautiful ideas. We hope that they bring it to Liberia will be one of the things that will transform the nation. But when they carry these people out for trainings and stuff, they need to use these people when they come back to Liberia to be able to implement these things in the system and also teach the public how to use it. That's my input.
Great. Alex, let's hear from you.
Yeah, as far as the ITC program, I think um as Ben was alluding. Ben, you're a very good politician. I really like you.
That's how
I
we.
do.
That's how we.
If you vote for anything again, I'll give you a second chance, but don't be so much. I really do like you. So let me say this, right? It's nonsense. Okay? It's nonsense. Let me tell you why it's nonsense. You have students that are going to computer school in Liberia that have graduated over the last 5 years. You have a university that have put out thousands of students that are looking for jobs. You have people like Lofa Julius, who is an expert in IT. What the heck are you going to say? You're going to go train more new people and leave the people who already graduated, don't have jobs, willing to come. It doesn't make any sense. It's just stupidity. You need to put the people you already have with experience to fix the problem. That's not an economic plan. That's an educational plan. Support people to go to school, send them on scholarship. But economic plan is not going to go train people. That's why some of the reasons I'm saying maybe Burma Kamara didn't participate in a speech preparation because he should know better. I will listen to Duke. Okay, Duke is talking about things like derivative. For most Liberians, maybe that's a foreign language. I will just okay, and I'll break that down for you guys. Every African country today, you go to Nigeria, they have a stock exchange. Okay, you go to I will list the different stock exchanges you have. Somalia, they have a stock exchange. Gabon has a stock exchange. Ghana has a stock exchange. Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Lesotho, Libya, Malawi,
Mauritius, or you cannot build an economy when you cannot raise capital in the private market. That's what Duke is talking about. But obviously, people in Burma Kamara, they don't know that. And that's what his name Ben was talking about. Do not be too proud and arrogant to go out there and solicit help. As a public official, as someone who wants to exceed, everybody on this platform, okay, should be reach out to see how they can help. Because these are your best and your brightest. Liberia has a 48% illiteracy rate. And you have people who are expertise where people are hiring and paying them 6-figure, and you are afraid or ashamed to go reach out to them, then you're foolish. So as a minister or as a government, if this is going to President Boakai, reach out to your people who are already trained, people like Larry Kennedy, okay, and see how they can help you. You can leave me out because I call her name useless, so don't call me. But these are the finest people like Willie DeLong, an expert for analysis. You leave these people in the diaspora, and then you talk about you're going to go train 10,000 people, kids. You will compare somebody who graduated from college today with somebody like a DeLong or Larry or Alice Jones. Are you crazy? You know when it would take that person to even get an experience? And you're talking about a country that's running $2 billion debt and $80 million deficit and no technology. You got senators and representatives. They don't even have a website, but they have a budget for technology. You have counties don't even have a website. That the people you're going to go train for another 6 months, that the people will come out and know how to build website is stupid. Strap that. Reach out to your expert. Paul Kagame, that's what Paul Kagame did. Today, look at Air Rwanda. You see, Rwandans are pilots. They're running that airline. Because the first thing when he did when he became president, he went out into diaspora and he brought all of them back to Rwanda. He paid them. An airline pilot in Rwanda can make up to $139,000 a year. And you have Liberians, qualified people, like Duke and Larry, all these people in Emery, and all these people in here. And you say not talking about you're going to go train people and you're going to go think on solution. So you have all the solutions right there. So that's the solution. And I will just end with this point. Liberia economy, all right, $4 billion. Togo is 8. All right. Equatorial Guinea is 12. Rwanda is 13. Niger is 15. Benin, 17. Mali, 19. When will we even catch up with these people? Why are you talking about going to go train people? You do your best people. That's all you need to do. Get these people, pay them very well, bring them that money you're paying fully senators and representatives that can contribute to the economy and traveling to go to World Bank. You think when you go to the World Bank, who the World Bank calls? When you come to America and say you want expertise, they call the same Alice Jones to go consult. They call the same Lofa Julius. They call the same Larry Kennedy. So why can't you utilize your own people? Do they have to be part of your political party? Do they have to be part of your government? You need to set up a stock exchange in Liberia, at least a commodities exchange, so that farmers can get the capital they need to have a commercial farm. The people who are there, they don't have that expertise. They don't know the difference between a stock, a bond, and an option. So people want to help them, but it's so arrogant. That's what gets me about them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tomalin, can I say something quickly? 30 seconds. I promise I'll stay on 30 seconds. Lofa, I beg you, I promise I'll stay on 30 seconds. Let me slightly disagree with Alex on something. I agree with him on one point, that the government needs to reach out to its middle class. The diaspora, it's Liberia's middle class. That is a fact. It's been proven. Billions of dollars thrown into the economy by the Liberian diaspora. That's your middle class. Where I have my slight disagreement is that you can walk and you can chew gum. You can do both, right? So the issue of training 10,000 young people, it's not a bad thing, right? Like I highlighted this plan from the LTA. I had written my notes down. I finally found it when I was looking at it. It's actually a plan, guys. And in fact, ironically, in this plan, which is the Liberia Digital Transformational Project, right? It also talks about training 10,000 young people, right? Some of the things that you're talking about, Alex, and I agree with you. The stock exchange, all of these things. guess what? You're going to need these young people to be able to do these things, to be able to work in these places. Lofa not leaving his job in Raleigh to go to Liberia to go work with the Liberian Stock Exchange, right? There is a strategic plan in place, so you can walk and chew gum. I totally agree with you on the notion about not being arrogant and not being blinded by the fact that you don't want to reach out to people who are not in your political alignment, right? But like I said, there is a plan already. And I think it is, I commend them because this is, and I stand to be corrected, right? This is, well, obviously this plan was developed under the WEA administration but this is the first president that I have seen who have talked about it, right? At the level of a State of the Nation address. So when you have a situation where, because like I said, I will send the document to you, Alex. I promise I will send it to you. Maybe you can dissect it and go through it and you'll see exactly where I'm coming from, right? It's called the Liberia Digital Transformation Project. There is a comprehensive plan that talks about training 10,000 young people between the ages of 10 to 35 years old, undertaking a nationwide training awareness in basic ICT. You know, Alex, most of the people in Liberia think ICT has to do with just going on Facebook. And that is way beyond that. So that's where I'm coming from. I think we can walk and chew gum. You talk about conducting a national household survey. We did a census in Liberia the other day. There's still people who say they were not counted, right? So all of these things can be it can be a part of a package. And I still think as they reach out to the people in the diaspora, they can still train these 10,000 young people to be able to give them. And guess what? The Lofa Julius says of this world can go and further augment and build these young people's capacity. Lofa can decide, say, listen, I want to shepherd a kid from the Alex Cummings School of Technology. These are some of the things that I think we can start to look at, right? Amending certain laws.
Access to data.
Yeah, amending certain laws. Making it easy, Alex, making it easy for people to be able. So these things don't sound like they're alien to our people. Because at the end of the day, again, like I said, we can walk and chew gum. We can do these things together. There's nothing that stops us. Lastly, you talk about Rwanda. You are absolutely right. Do you know where Rwanda got her model from? She got it from Singapore. Paul Kagame said he wants to make Rwanda the Singapore of Africa. How did Lee Kuan Yew get his ideas? He credited it to William Arrow Talbot. Funny though, when you read his book, he credits it to William Arrow Talbot. So we can do these things. We can say, listen, identify that we have a human capacity deficit, not looking down on the people in Liberia, because you don't want that situation where they think you coming to kick them by the wayside, but you can walk hand in hand and implement this digital transformational project. Like I believe, like I said, I'm very critical on a lot of the things that people come up with these different plans. But when I read this, when I saw the total breakdown, I commend the president, not because it's going to happen overnight, because he has used his bully pulpit, which is the most powerful bully pulpit in any society. Joe Biden decided that he wanted to focus on infrastructure. Guess what? He made what is that road going to that interstate in where I played Tomalin 95 when it broke down. Yeah. They tested a technology and they got that interstate up and running. That's part of walking and chewing gum. What I want to see is, and that's why I say I give them some credit, because I think the president elevating this to this level is something that is worth commending. But I do agree with you on the notion that they should tap into the diaspora. So Lofa, get ready to get a call from President Bob.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben, for staying well under the 37 seconds.
Thank you, Lofa. Thank you.
37 seconds.
The thing is that, like I said, LTA already have the roadmap. So President Boga can use the LTA model and just continue, and it can extend throughout the country. Because right now, like you guys said, right now almost all Liberian students are going to Rwanda now. For studies now, they're going to Rwanda. True. Instead of the students migrating, leaving the country, if the president is serious about it, he put the money into it and empower the LTA, and I think they can carry on, and then they can invite the experts. Like
it can be a PPP. It can be a public-private partnership. Yes.
The legal Rwanda, they didn't stay for the free WASEC fee.
Huh?
See why it's fee.
But Kev, wait,
But,
wait.
Let me say this. Let me say this.
guys.
Let me say this.
Look.
Let me say this. That the moderator coming. Let me say this. I think we look at the problem right here. When Alex and Ben agreeing for this face to be in Liberia, that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't think we should leave here and go down in Liberia and get the jobs. I think training 10,000 people, training people there is the way to go. It's the way to go. I don't think we should do. That's the problem. Look, a lot of people left America, went down, under Ellen. Georgia government came in. They harmonized people salary. Guess what happened? They left. They abandoned the job. They say they're now working for small money, and they came back. How that can help our nation? What we're seeing coming from the LTA, by the way, I will commend, the President Buckeye, for following the exactly the roadmap from LTA. What coming out of LTA is good for our nation, very good. So we can't come here and say I want to see the Lofa Julius. If I see the Lofa Julius there, I'll be devastated. I don't want to see the Lofa Julius there. What I want to see the Lofa Julius that based in Lofa. I don't want to see a Lofa Julius that based in North Carolina. No. I don't want to see the Duke or Alex. Guys can go there. You can go and help and train, and on pro bono base. You can do that. That's your nation. But we got to invest in the human capacity in Liberia, not here. Not here.
But
you're talking about Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame is helping the Rwandans in Rwanda, not overseas. So we will commend what coming, because by the way, this thing been in the making at LTA for long. I will commend especially the head at Edwina. I will commend them, and also, hey, what good thing come in Liberia should be for it. So by Joe Buckeye putting it in his speech, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Anything that can make the lives of the Liberian people improve, they got to get ready. We cannot be carrying the Lofa Julius. How our people there will be ready?
No.
Listen. When you get to Liberia,
let me comment, man. Let me comment.
When you get to when you get to Liberia, you see our young people. By the way, some of us were there a month and a half. You see the people, they need their jobs. But you cannot scrap it and get the Lofa Julius there. You're not building the human capacity.
That's not what I'm saying.
Let me comment. Let me comment.
We need the Lofa Julius and Duke them there. The reason why is that we have to include Liberians in the diaspora in things that we do in Liberia. And the reason why we need Duke and Lofa Julius there, because they are already experts in these things. They can go and carry on trainings. Where these people are training.
We don't
raise. Okay. Guys, one at a time. Do one at a time.
Not to take their job.
Okay, but let me say here.
Politics now, because
guys, let's do one at a time. One at a time.
Yeah, let me comment. Let me comment. I haven't talked anything.
Alex, hold on 1 second. Alex, that Dr. Peabody go.
Let me say something here. I think I applaud the LTA for coming up with that framework that they have. That's an excellent framework, and I hope the government can tap into that. But one of the things that Rwanda did, they had an agreement with Carnegie Mellon University where they send folks here to train and go back. I think it should be both ways. LTA implement that program in Liberia, but they can also invite experts like Lofa Julius, Professor Kennedy, Alex Jones, and others. They can go back and really be able to help in that area since they are already expert. If you say only Liberians in Liberia, I don't think it's going to work. I think we need somebody who's the expert. Ghana, other countries have done it where the Ghanaians have gone back home and they have helped in area where they built technical university. There's a guy
I am
from
not
there's a
disputing
guy from let me finish my
I am
statement. There's
not
a guy
disputing
from
that, but
there's a guy from who used to work for, I believe, IBM or so, and he went back home and built a technical university. I think it's both ways that would help, and I think LTA should tap into some of the talent. But I think they have a very good framework, and I think the president should have worked with them, contact them, and see what plan you have, rather than coming on and say we're going to train 10,000 people. But I think LTA already had it laid out. Go by the plan they have. I think excellent plan.
And you know, can I step in real quick, please? This is important. Yeah. When we had the situation with COVID and New York City was hit hard, guess where New York City brought nurses from? Other states to help them. It was not about bringing people in to take away from the nurses, right? Because they found out that they didn't have the volume, they didn't have the level of expertise to help them during this major crisis. Let me give you another reason why it's
that's
important.
different. That's
Right?
different.
No, it's not different. It's the same thing. Let me give you another one. The government spent more money in paying for scholarships for Liberians to attend universities. And after those programs are done, they go back home. Guess what's happening? Are we using those expertise? Why do you think that we continue to struggle in the sector? Because they don't have real life experience. And when you put them on the job, you see you have people who don't know what they're doing. They have not had the level of experience. And so those situations become complex. And then you give them 1 or 2 years to
Experience.
go through it.
No,
No, yeah. There's somebody watching this show, one of Liberia's best, very intelligent, a multimillionaire, by the way. I just texted him. And let me tell you what he wants this platform to know, that it makes sense to bring Liberian experts back to help build capacity. This is what we've not done, right? Forget about me. I'm not going to Liberia to work. I don't want to go to Liberia to work. I've got a personal goal that I'm focused on, and I need to get that accomplished. But if there's opportunity to volunteer, maybe perhaps. But I'm saying though,
that's what
the reason
Liberia
why
do.
you're referencing
Volunteer
Ghana,
help,
one
billionaires.
second, Kev. The reason why you're referencing Ghana and Nigeria, you know why? Let me give you, for instance, in the Financial Investment Center, you go to the JP Morgan Chase, the Morgan Stanley. You know what these Ghanaian guys were doing? They would go to these institutions to acquire these skills, to get the destination, to work 1, 2, 3 years and stuff. Guess where they're going? I'm going back to Ghana. They were tapping into this expertise. Even the nurses. Go to the Nigerian hospital now. You have a lot of nurses and stuff from here there. Go to the islands. You've got some of these nurses that from the island with the thing to do the contract to go back there and work. You need diaspora expertise. And I'm telling you, let's give the healthcare for example. If we can find a way to attract those experienced nurses and doctors from the diaspora, trust me, you can reform the healthcare sector. And guess what? You're opening more opportunities because Liberia now becomes the go-to destination for other African countries or residents who want to seek better treatment. So this time, we don't have the level of capacity in the country. This is why you need your people with the expertise to help instead of paying expats, right, from other countries. Other firms do that here. If you go now to a lot of these firms, a lot of these IT experts, where they're coming from? India. They're bringing them from India to take on some of these contracts. I'm telling you for a fact. So we have to be very objective in looking at some of these things and not just always think that people want to go back because they want to do this, that, but you need to pay your people well if you can.
Luke, you need to read what's in this from LTA. You need to read it.
Okay,
It's
so
good.
yeah, let me just go
Kev Hassan, I mean, I've listened to everybody. I've listened to everybody.
It's good for what coming out of LTA and what the president.
So LTA, Kev, LTA is only focusing on one aspect of technology. There's something called fintech, which is a different aspect. It's financial technology. They don't know that. Okay, so that's what we're seeing. Only the expert will know that. So online banking is not part of the LTC plan. That's called fintech. That's a whole nother area of technology that
I
deals
think you
with.
need to. I think you need a copy of this and look into it so you can
Yeah,
get
I'll
better
look into it. But
and
what
get
I'm
better
seeing here is
understanding so you can. So
okay.
you,
Hang on. What
that
I'm
would
seeing here
help
is,
you talk about
and I'm speaking to
LTE.
you, Kev, as a
So
professional
so
person.
so
Okay,
so family
what Duke is
speaking.
trying to say.
So speaking to
And
the
just
issue
allow me,
of
just 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds, Julius. What Duke is trying to say. Liberians get real, nervous when you hear about Liberians coming from outside, all that kind of stuff. What are we saying? First of all, why are Liberians leaving from Liberia to go to Rwanda? Larry Kennedy here is a professor. He can teach a course from right in his living room, the same thing that they're going to Rwanda to go learn.
I am not
I work.
disputing
Listen
that.
to me.
I am
Hold
not
on
disputing
here.
that.
Hold
I
on.
don't think
We
that's what
live
I'm
today.
talking about, though. I'm not disputing
Yeah, but let
that.
me land, then you
We
get a
need the
grasp of what
expert
I'm
like
trying to
y'all
say.
to be there.
No,
I'm saying
somebody
is,
does not have to be. Listen to me,
I'm
Kev.
saying go there, train them,
Kev.
help them.
now let's
and
not
not
now let's
just
not
let
make
them
this
go.
back and forth.
Let them
Kev, listen to what I'm trying
Hey,
to
let me
say.
let me come in a second because I soon have to hop in a
Yeah.
meeting. So
You
look,
don't even have to be in Liberia, all right, to offer technical services. That's what you need to understand. All right. Today, everybody you can work at the Federal Reserve for whom? You
I
can work
agree with
at
you.
JP Morgan for whom?
That's not
So
my.
what
That's not
we're
what I'm
saying here
saying.
is you have a big pool of experts, right? Leverage that expert. They're not coming back to take your job. Alex Jones don't need to be finance minister of Liberia. Larry Kennedy does not need to be finance minister of Liberia. But what he's saying, instead of saying you're going to train new people, the people who already have the training and the experience, create an avenue that those people can transfer that knowledge to Liberians so that you don't have to be going to Rwanda. You don't even have to come here to Kennedy School to learn. We can teach it right online because we go to Kennedy School now, everything online. That's all we're trying to say. But to exclude Liberians, they think about, oh, you in America, oh, you're not on the ground. It's nonsense. When you need help, you get help from wherever you need it.
That's not my point. My point
hey,
is,
Kev, Alex, let me come in.
Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, let me come in because I will. I soon have to go to a meeting. So I think people need to go back and listen to what Alex just said and record that because that is the underlying issue that we're having in this country. Look, when you go and you send people to Rwanda, you're sending money out to Rwanda to build their economy. If you were to use Liberians in the diaspora, more than likely those Liberians will end up spending our money, maybe sending it in the form of remittances back to Liberia. So it helps the economy. And this is something I rarely do, so I'll just say it briefly. I sit here sometimes and I train people on technology in Saudi Arabia, in China, in Ghana. I train people a lot of times. I'm here like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night when it's about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning over in China, and I'm training people on technology. The first job I got in this country as a teenager, because I learned how to program the old Olivetti typewriter. I learned to program that. And that landed me a job downtown. And eventually I grew up in the technology and finance world. So I teach technology, things like Python, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, those high-tech stuff. I teach that stuff on a regular basis. And it's not because I haven't tried to help people in Liberia, but I think to a greater extent, sometimes we don't even have love for ourselves. We'd rather take something and give it to others as opposed to giving it to Liberia because I set up a team. I brought university people. The university was going to get money for a grant to help with the trash in Monrovia and turn it to biofuel. University had done it in places like Bosnia. They were going to get the money. But we're going to partner with the University of Liberia. And at the time, I believe the woman who was there was called Weeks. And she stopped taking my calls. And the one time she took my call, I think she answered the phone by accident. So I went to the university president and he said, Larry, what's going on? I thought the country was interested in this opportunity. And it never happened. I connected with people at the University of Pennsylvania because there's an open source software that I managed to use. I even made a video recording of it, how you can use it to improve the healthcare sector in Liberia, because people will no longer need to go to the hospital with a folder in terms of the last visit. The hospital can look at their cell phone or maybe an iPad, and they will use this software, health information management system software, to keep track of everybody that's coming into the hospital, and you can just look at it and see. I even did a video recording in terms of how it worked. I sent it to a few people down there, leaders. No one, and I don't need somebody to pay me for it. That's the thing. You're trying to help. I was sitting in a meeting one time at Prairie View University in Texas, and I listened to people talking about how they wanted to do nurses training via the internet. And I think Prairie View has a relationship with either Cuttington or Booker T or one of those schools in Liberia. But when they pay their own money to send somebody to Liberia to try to connect with the school. But the person got rejected because the people there was afraid that they were going to come and take their job, not knowing the people in the diaspora was willing to help them. So a lot of times it's because we don't want to help. We think that people are coming to take their jobs. Nobody want to take your job. The diaspora wants to help, but most of the time we don't like our own people. Even today, people that I used to talk to on a regular basis that have come into power, I'm telling them, look, listen, here's something we can do. I even wrote a program on the workforce development thing that we're looking to roll out.
First of all, let me just interrupt you. Let me ask you. Okay, with this model that the LTA is laid out and the president in his speech, if you are asked how can you help them in this process, like with LTA? The LTA actually said, well, okay, how can you work along with LTA to foster this initiative?
Here's the challenge.
Okay.
So I was shocked one time I was watching 60 Minutes, and 60 Minutes was talking about how the Kenya M-Pesa, the digital currency in Kenya, was transforming or leading the way in terms of technology. The problem we have is the fiber optics hit Liberia from Gabon back in 2011. Yeah, when I was in Liberia with the former chief of staff of Lofa Julius, and he asked me, Larry, what are the people doing over there? They were using shovels to dig holes to lay down fiber optics. We have major issues in terms of internet access. So all this thing they're talking, we still have a challenge with internet access because right now, C-Squared, USID, and Google have a project right now to boost internet access. Internet access in the country will boost GDP growth by at least 2 to 3 percentage points based on feasibility studies. So this thing they want to do, the major challenge is the cost of internet access is so expensive in Liberia that it's going to be extremely difficult to hit that goal. So they have to figure out a way, number one, how can we scale up? How can we get this internet access problem solved? Because once you do it, then maybe now you can say, okay, we can do some of these trainings, but you can train those young people. You know what you will be doing? You can train them in terms of things like Java, right? How to build websites, because everybody's still building websites out there in Java. Maybe have some people learning how to use SharePoint. The legislators can use a SharePoint site where they share information in a SharePoint site. They shouldn't be using their own little Gmail account. They should all be using a government Liberia account that is based on a SharePoint Microsoft 365 account or something of that sort. They need to do that. You need to be able to look. The reason why they're challenging doing a lot of these things, two reasons. Number one, they are stuck in this ECF, makes it difficult for them to raise money to get a lot of these things done. If you want to finance how you're going to get your internet at a level where people can now use it for healthcare, for education, and all that stuff, you need some money to get that stuff. If you focus on USAID money, you're going to be waiting a long time because the process is going to be slow. This is where, when you listen to Choo, he's talking about a stock market, because that's the way you can bring private investors in. They have, look, their plans, there's an abundance of plan. They plan from 2018 with Google, C-Squared, USAID, the government of Liberia. That plan from 2018 is out there, but why isn't it? It hasn't materialized to the point where you can take advantage of it. We have to think another way to get this thing done. You know, you can use Hughes Electronics, right? It's a satellite company. The people who came out with Dish Network years ago.
You can use Tesla.
You can even use Tesla. Those things are out there. But look, when we merged with Chase, I can remember my manager standing up there and say, look, you know something? We're going to show you guys how to do it the JP Morgan way. You know why? Because the things that we were doing, Chase was like 10 years behind us because we had seen the promised land. We know how things should have been done. Some people in Liberia do not have the practical experience, but they can't admit it. You haven't seen these things. I don't know Liberian politics, but one thing I know, I know how technology and finance work. Fintech that Chuchu talked about. I know how that stuff works. You know why? I've been doing it for 40 years. Practical experience, not reading it in a book. Back to
Mr. Kennedy, do you have a class online?
Depends on professor.
No, but I just want to know whether he has a private class online that people like us can join because we want to learn.
Yeah, just make sure that I'm spoon class. That's all.
I know, right? Get a fake degree. No, it's all legit.
Exactly.
So I will button up on this last point. Look, we first have to be nationalistic about our country, right? We have to stop saying we're going to send things over to Ghana, we're going to bring 10,000 teachers from Nigeria, or start exporting kids over to Rwanda and building their economies, when we just need to be nationalistic and listen to the diaspora. I'm calling people today. I'm sending them plans that I wrote, that I've done work in the US. I'm sending plans to people. They're not responding. They're not responding. I said, first of all, I am not taking.
Let me buttress your point here on something.
I try to reach out. I'm gonna try to make sure that
Tomalin, that try to reach out thing, we are well beyond that try to reach out thing at this point, Tomalin.
Larry, I want you and the LTA to work together. I think it'll be a good idea.
Tomalin,
to jump with it. I come here, Lofa, the LTA, to connect with them, and I think because they have a plan that I think will be good that you help work along with them so they can make it happen, because
they gotta make these things
that's
happen.
what we need.
Let me say this one thing. I think I mentioned the judge too many. I mentioned the judge to you guys.
Yeah.
And I told you how judge connecting with the judge will bring Jefferson Koji to the city of Houston, and they treated Jefferson Koji the royalty. The judge was trying to set up a program. In fact, he's on the board of this thing called the Sister Cities. That's why I'm hoping someone like Dualu can become the mayor of Monrovia, because Dualu is more receptive. He knows how things work.
You even forget it. They already found the mayor. They already got the mayor.
You see, I missed that part.
But I told him that position was too complicated.
Who's the thing in right now? Let me forget about
that. And let me say this thing real fast.
Hey, Rob, you saying, man, get it for a man.
Yeah. So I had meetings with the judge in Texas. The judge brought in some of the historically Black colleges on board. He brought Community College of Houston on board. The judge is so interested in doing work in Liberia. Listen to this. The judge went back to school to learn how to install solar panels because he wants to come back to Liberia and help with it, the solar panels installation. We put up a team where my school over here and the universities over there were going to come together to set up a program for solar panels installation in Liberia. We reached out to certain people. We started building that program, but it died down because the politics. It's crazy. So I would say this again. I am not taking $100,000 pay cut to go sit down in Liberia and waste my time with people who do not have love for Liberia. My time has tremendous value.
You say that again, $100,000, huh? Not $3,000, though.
I'm not doing. It's not going to happen.
Larry, but you can help from here, right? You can do that. Right?
You can do it from anywhere, but the people look.
The thing is about what the issue of helping from here and helping from there. Larry is like, you can go to Liberia and give his work, and they can pay him for his service. He's a Liberian, so where's the difference?
Lofa coming out. Lofa coming out. I want your Lofa opinion.
No, Lofa begging 1 second. Kev, let me do use.
Everybody begging Lofa 1 second.
Lofa town.
You interrupted my time, Kentucky.
I went for Larry to
exactly. You took it with my time. I'll let you guys go. I'll let you you hear you guys
talking about Liberians, the fear from. Let me tell you this. Do you know in the United States, Americans will go ahead and get a certain degree, especially in healthcare, when they work for the state? Do you know that they're eligible to receive up to $50,000 money deposited cash to pay towards the loan as compensation? They are. I know people that I've actually managed portfolios for, doctors, right? They got 50,000 solid cash from the government as compensation. So when we're talking about diaspora expertise, okay, let's forget the money, but when professor says he's not going to take $100,000 cut, people say, oh, why you can't do it for love for country? No, come on, let's be realistic.
Heck no, love for country will pay my bills.
Oh, let's be truthful.
But Duke, I tried to do it for love of country. They never responded. I have the. I'm telling you.
Let
I
Lofa come
said
in. I want to hear Lofa.
people ask me to do training for them. I do training with people
You know, the
overseas.
only person I can listen to is Larry. You guys cannot do love for
Hey,
country.
Keff is the only one I can listen to.
Oh no, let Lofa come in. I'm pleading for Lofa today. For a reason. Lofa, please talk, please. Let him talk.
Lofa, listen, Duke, the doctors.
Well, I'm back here. Lofa,
Lofa will be fine. Lofa will be just fine. The doctors are leaving here to Liberia on pro bono base. They're there. Joseph took a lot of
your retirees are the bill probably $1 million in investment. They probably have $1.7 million in 401k, right? They probably have $250,000 in IRA, probably have another $300,000 in Roth. They're set. You can't
and also retired.
And let Larry talk.
So the
Larry talk.
No, you want pay.
Okay, Lofa, please speak. Lofa time, yeah, guys. Just please let him speak.
Lofa finally.
So I can say something.
So guess what? I'm hosting Friday. Tomalin, I'll keep you forever. You of work, and you will now announce to us that the VP is in the back watching.
And Lofa, let me talk plenty. I'm pleading for you today.
No, but you know everything you guys are saying here, and the reason why I'm so quiet is because I'm in agreement with almost everything you guys are saying. Okay, with the exception that I hear people continuously try to use the word expert, especially when it comes to information technology. You can't simply just cast a broad stone like that expert when it comes to technology. I support the idea of training Liberian, especially the young people. And the reason why I support that is throughout my career, okay, I've always looked to keep myself abreast of any modern technology. Once I can put my hands on it, even with my techs who I work with, I always push to make sure that they acquire the needed knowledge of any technology. Larry spoke about something here that a lot of people are not paying attention to, and that is the open source software that he suggested. Look around you, go to a lot of the hospitals in the United States. One of the major provider of medical software is Epic. A lot of you who are into the medical fields, look it up. Look up Epic. Okay. The next in line is Clearvia. Clearvia, actually Cerner. Clearvia bought over Cerner. I provided senior engineering support for Clearvia before the bought them over. Again, I not to talk about myself here, but this idea that was suggested, this medical software, open source, if you're to implement this in Liberia, just think about how many lives you would save. Just think about how many lives you would save. Because Clearvia started in a dentist office when they came up. And when they brought us in, before we made up our mind, we were out in the local clinic. Cerner, as the second leading medical software provider, bought Clearvia. And today, Clearvia is a portion of Cerner software, competing with Epic, one of the biggest, okay, and the largest vendor of medical software. I will not sit here and say I disagree with the idea of providing training for Liberians, whether in Liberia or in the diaspora. Bring them, train them. But you know what? In technology, there's something called practicality. You must do it. Okay? It must be repetitive. The more you do it, the more you become familiar with it. Whether the environment that is being used as the infrastructure, you must do it. And unfortunately, for Liberia today, we don't have what it takes. So if you take all of those young people, bring them to the United States, train them, you take them back, you're literally just wasting that money. You're wasting that money because you don't have the opportunity. You're not going to give them the job they need. But if you were to take few people from here, and again, let me just say that disclaimer, I have no interest in any appointed government job. I recommend it to your Senator, Darius DeLone. I recommend it to Darius DeLone, and that's I can say openly. The issue of SharePoint, Okay, it's not hearsay. It was done on a video call. I recommended to Darius DeLon the issue of making sure that his colleagues at the Senate will get away from this personal email thing and start using some government handle email. Okay, just to start. And I also recommended to Darius DeLon. Darius DeLon, why in the world are you not even pushing the idea of the Senate having an up-to-date, okay, a website with updated information on your attendance, your voting records, all of these things? You don't need rocket scientists. You know what? Darius DeLon and his colleagues ran away because they themselves don't want to be here accountable. Darius DeLon don't want you to know his voting records, so he would not support the idea of having such a thing implemented. Darius DeLon don't want you to be familiar with his ill practices in government, so he will run away from it. Okay? I've made recommendation. I didn't go in the back to recommend these things to Darius DeLon. I made it publicly, and there are so many people on here. That's the reason why you hear people say, "Oh, Lofa did," because I made these recommendations, but people will run away from it because they are afraid. They think that we are competing with them. They think that we are supposed to be their targets. No, no. You will walk and you will walk and chew gum at the same time, but you need somebody to help you in the process, and that is the honest reality. When I decided, I worked for IBM. I worked as a senior system security analyst. I left IBM. I worked with CDW Burby. Okay, one of the biggest IT provider right now. They do data center management and all of that. Hello, I don't want to go back home. I'd rather take my $2 from Walmart here and live with it. I'm not making the tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I would take my $2 from McDonald's and live comfortably. But guess what? We all can contribute to Liberia, but we can do it in a much more a better way than what they think we are trying to do. Take their jobs. That's why they are standing in the way of some of these things. Go on and reach out to Larry. Ask him, how can you guys buy into this idea of the open source software? Invest in it for healthcare, and I promise you, you will save a lot of lives, because by the time people get admitted at the hospital, their information is already in the system. You pulled it up, you look it up. You're not wasting time. You're not doing it. You can look Epics in Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to school, and I'll close on this note. Go to Epics University. They are willing to train people, bring people, send people there to learn about these things. Okay, I did an entire 3 months just out of my own pocket. I went there to learn the Epic software before I even started doing other things for IBM. We are needed, but in a much more specific way. And what Larry spoke about today, I will personally reach out to Larry. I will personally reach out to him. I want to tap into that, because
Me too.
that right there, that is the way to take Liberia forward, not to even think about the other extra things that are coming. I'm not even talking about networking. And when he spoke about the fiber optic, right now I do networking, but I'm not going to get into that. But that particular part, I am not a programmer, but I'll stop here.
So I have a question, Robert. I want to ask Julius. Let me just ask Julius quick. Julius, now this system they are talking about, the ICT system, is it going to help the government too with the intranet system because of the email or regularities and things within the government, that when people leaving, they leave with all the information with the emails and everything?
That's my problem. Okay, we don't have any regulation on the book right now that I know of. Okay, again, with other agencies in the United States. Why would people be calling me? I'm gonna call. Oh my. All right, sorry about that. You must have some kind of standard put in place. An example I will give you here, and I'm not going to state a specific agency name, right? Agencies in the United States, government-related agencies, some of them they have data retention period. All right, you have 90 days to retain data, and that data must be kept. 90 days is there. After that, it gets archived, and then you back that data up. So if anybody's to come and ask you, when I work with the United States Treasury Office, that was part of my responsibility. Okay, as a senior support, I was responsible for the legal team. We had to maintain all of those data. So if our court appoint an audit were being conducted and we could not provide that data, we were in big mess. So I don't know whether that is stated in that document that is being provided. I'll have to review it, but it's a good idea. This will also help fight the corrupt practices that is being exhibited every day. Because when, first of all, no government official should be using their own mobile device to communicate with anybody. That is completely unacceptable. We should hand them mobile devices upon their excellency to their position, and then we should be able to take it away from them.
Great.
The minute you resign, we take that device away from you, and we have access to any document. You can delete it. We will still be able to obtain any data that you have on there. That's how it is all around the world.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Let me
when
say something.
When it goes to email, you got a question? Go ahead.
No, I didn't have.
Okay,
I want to say something. Go
Okay,
finish.
so
I wanna-
when it goes to email,
Guys,
again,
1 minute, right? We have just for the last 15 minutes we got. That's also we'll discuss.
okay, we can take off. I'll stop on it. I'll stop. That's why I didn't want to get into the talk with technology part.
Let me.
But I'll keep
Tomalin,
going.
give me 2 minutes.
Okay, give you 2 minutes. Yeah, but so Lofa, go ahead. That's tough. But let Robert go ahead talk.
You know what? Let me give Robert a chance.
Robert trying to talk about
the issue of technology. I can talk all day because
check
that's what I love to do. So I'll stop here for now.
So you guys are the expert when it comes to IT. I am completely lost.
Check your messenger.
But you see, this is the beauty of education, and every country, right, appreciates this, because I am not going to dive into Duke's area, because if I try to challenge him in that area, I'll make a fool of myself. I'm not going to dive into Keff's area because I'll make a fool of myself. You can't walk in any hotel. I don't care how much IT you know. I don't care how much finance you know. You can walk into the most luxurious hotel and tell me how the operation run. You're going to embarrass yourself. You can't do that. Every country uses that. It's the beauty of education. And you know what they do? They tap into it. They place people strategically in areas to get the best out of them. Lofa just talked about servers. When I got transferred from one property to the next, I was given a up-to-date cell phone. My personal cell phone and I have 2 personal cell phones plus my work cell phone. I do not conduct calls that is business related on my personal cell phones. I also was given my laptop. These are purposely for work-related operations. And there's a reason why. Let's say I was supposed to, and if my fiance is watching, I'm just giving an example. Okay? Let's say I get someone a Julius cell phone number here because I don't want to give my other cell phone number. And I think that I'm trying to.
You get you on the side.
I didn't say that, Kev. I made a disclaimer. I didn't say that. But
you just said
the Jews start testing me all kind of things Tomalin, on the phone here. The Jew gonna put us in trouble. I'm gonna put myself in trouble. But it's easier for the company.
Just confess.
It's easier for the company to retrieve any data that's coming to this phone. I don't pay the bills. This is what our government should be doing. This is the reason why Hillary Clinton's email exchanges became the talk of an entire election year. My fiance graduated with RT at Georgia Southern University, and so this is like a baby to her. She knows the RT. She knows the RT word. But Kev, that's part of the reason why I can't do anything crazy, because the woman know all kinds of what to get through. But why is it Liberia can't tap into Lofa? Why is it like, look at Duke? Duke and I don't always agree. Duke will tell you. We're not go at it. Hey man, he will tell you. But there's a mutual respect. There are young people who are professional in specific areas. You got people like Alex over here. Why is it that we're not tapping into these people to get the best for our country? And I always hear people talk about jobs. What are those jobs? What is the salary? What are the benefits other than having plenty of people work behind you, having plenty of girlfriends, being known? What are the benefits? Do you even have health benefits? Do you have retirement benefits? How much are they paying you? How much are deputy ministers getting paid in Liberia? What, 3,500? So what are the jobs? I've got to be honest. I can't take 7,000. I can't even take $7,000 a month in Liberia right now. I can't make that kind of sacrifice at this stage in my career because I got family to take care of. I got things to do. I will close on this note. So when people talk about they are coming to take our jobs, you have to understand what are the quality of jobs that you're talking about. Now, the people who are leaving here to go back home, I think there are some great young men and women who truly wants to give back to that country. And I'm not going to generalize everyone as if everyone is running back just to take jobs or because they can't afford jobs here, right? I think Liberians should be recruited based on their level of expertise. But we should get away from the mindset that this is us versus them. That those in the diaspora, for some reason, are different sets of Liberians as opposed to those in Liberia. That we are against those folks. Look, we have families that we support. We got friends that we support on a monthly basis. Some people we spend 4 or 5 times the pay that some of these ministers are making. We spend that on a monthly basis to help friends and family in Liberia. Sometimes even more than that. So what are the jobs that people talk about? Every time I go to Liberia, Tomalin, I have connected with small businesses, especially in the entertainment world, and I do pro bono sequence of service training, and eventually I'm going to open up my company to do quality customer service and consulting on tourism and hospitality, right? But I do these things on a pro bono basis. But you will not believe this. When a big company, a big hotel contacted me to help train rooms operations, restaurants operations, from the entrance level all the way up, you know what the guy said to me? He looked me in the eyes and said to me, I heard that you've been doing pro bono work with some small Liberian restaurants and entertainment spots. I want you to train my staff, but I'll give you $2,500. You look at a professional like me, just because I'm training and I'm helping pro bono small businesses, you make thousands of dollars annually. You are not even paying your staff what you're supposed to pay them, and you're getting away with it because we have an institution that do not hold, or labor institution or labor laws that are not in the best interest of our country. But you think $2,500 entices me based on my expertise and what I'm bringing to you? Do you know how much we invest in training in major companies that make millions of dollars, billions of dollars? Look, we have to respect ourselves. We have to understand what we bring to the table. We have to respect our professions. We have to respect our expertise. And that's only when people will start taking us seriously. But Liberians, you got some smart people. The Ghanaians are not smarter than us. The Nigerians are not smarter than us. But they're tapping into their best minds. And this is the reason why they are moving the needle a little bit. We have got to do that. So, Mr. President, the 10,000 folks you're trying to train in IT or whatever technology, don't send them to Kenya. Don't send them abroad. They may not even come back. You know why they may not come back? Because they know that they come back. They're coming back to nothing. You've got to make sure that you tap into the expertise of Liberians right in the diaspora, the Liberians right in Monrovia that understands IT. Give the opportunities to us and let us help our fellow countrymen. Thank you.
Oh, look, we have a whole show on IT business. But Lofa, the thing you just said, somebody in the present government just said that it's a good idea because it affected them during the transition period about the devices. Because like you said, if you take a position in government, you have your own device, the government device. There's no way you won't need no document to say, well, we need that document from you, whatever the case. All be in the database. So I hope that we can continue to push on it so that our ministers, our officials of government can have their cell phone assigned to them, laptop, so that whenever they leave the position, they just turn it over, and you guys who in the IT area will know how to go and extract.
Well, first of all, that actually can even do price cut. It would save a lot of money.
Yeah, we have a whole show on that. But let's end our discussion with this newspaper headline. Tomorrow will be one of the most important commission hearing. Everybody looking forward to the commission hearing of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Dean of the Cabinet Designate, Madam Cyril Beslow Yenti. For me personally, I believe she's up to the task for that job. I think she's qualified. I think she should be given the opportunity to serve her country. Maybe other people have different views, but I think she brings a lot to the table and to help our external relations put in a positive note. But just quickly, guys, with the last few minutes we got, let us talk about the confirmation hearing tomorrow. What are your expectations and what do you think how it will end? We'll start with the female. I mean, not female. I won't start asking female because
can I go first because I will have
we'll start with Grace. If Grace want to give you a but Grace, you can chime in, then we'll make the rounds quickly and we can move on.
Well, Duke, I wanted to give you my time. You want my time, and then after you, I can come in.
Please,
okay.
Because
I just before I give you my time, Tomalin, I don't know when you say that she has the experience and everything, but do come in. I don't think we should say that.
Man, just quickly before I answer that, you know what just happened here tonight? We showed that the diversity in our experiences can be used for greater good. Lofa brought up Epic, and that's amazing because I was just on a venture capitalist call last night wherein I'm supposed to do due diligence for firm. And part of that process requires me getting more insight into Epic and trying to make recommendations to that particular medical firm. And by the way, that's attempting to give a new algorithm that will be included in the CBC count to be able to detect sepsis, right? So it's amazing. I just wanted to throw that there. Look, I'll follow up with you, my brother. But let me say this. I called Robert Gagwa in India because when I saw a picture, I wanted to laugh. Robert, you remember?
I remember.
Let me go into. I think I was on OKFM this morning. I spoke about this. I think Madam Sarah Beslow seems to have a really great experience. And I think being able to work with the United Nations, I believe there were a lot of vetting that went into that process. Hopefully, but again, this is why we vote for lawmakers, right? The senators. They will have to work for the money, and they will have to do the due diligence to make sure they're asking the necessary probing question and bring some level of clarity to that particular issue. That's my take on it. As for public works, and by the way, let me just clear up here. I do support the administration. I hope the president does well. As Liberians, I think this is what we will continue to do, but we will have our right to be critical. I think during our conversation here on the closing argument, we discussed issues about public works, and I made a certain comment about a particular individual. I'm not going to be nasty, but I would hope that during that confirmation hearing, that our lawmakers are doing the due diligence in making sure they're going back to previous occurrences at Public Works, and making the Liberian people to understand why this time it will be different, and possibly giving us an inside information as to what occurred, because I believe there were issues of fraud and financial improprieties that I would have to. So it's kind of crazy that we will see something like that on a newspaper article on there. But I hope they do the due diligence. But overall, let's look at our lawmakers. Let's see what they're about. If they're going to ask those questions, if they're going to be technical, if they have done their own research, and hopefully those people that have been appointed will be able to do the job that they've been hired to do. But I said this now is two. With all the appointments so far, I commend the president. Besides, there are two. Number one, that person is qualified, by the way. I mean, it's qualified, but my only concern is it comes with, a little bit of conflict of interest, right? And when it comes to our economy and all of the things that we've seen thus far, I think there was something a little bit we're backed up from, but here we are, and hopefully it will be different. And then the second one is Public Works. I'm not sure how that happened. I wouldn't, I would want more clarity. But if you ask me, I think there would have been better individuals who have been recommended for that post. But in the end, let's see what our lawmakers will do tomorrow to hold that particular individual accountable. But that's how much I would say about the whole situation. Robert's laughing, I want to laugh here.
Okay, guys, please. We got roughly only 7 minutes, so let's just spread the time
Okay.
around for 1 minute each on the close it. So, Grace, I hear from you.
Well, I would say that for me, we are looking up to the Senate to make the right decision. And I am all for women empowerment. I'm also a feminist, but I'm realistic as well. And they have irrelevant experience and irrelevant experience, relevant experience to any position. And also your criteria, your credential has to show for you to get in certain positions in Liberia. And the foreign minister is one of them. So I have no qualms with Ms. Beslow. I don't know her. I would be very happy for women to be in the government of Liberia, but I want women that are qualified to sit in that position and be able to deliver for the Liberian people. At this time, with all the information that is out here and some of them that we have gone through, and they are our own due diligence that we look at concerning Ms. Beslow, most time in America, in things like these, you will see the person will remove themselves or they will reject that nomination right away because they have too many stipulations on their information and they want to straighten it out before they come out. In Liberia, we don't do it. We'll fight to the end. And because people will be in the Senate that love you, and sometimes maybe brown envelope will change hands, and then before you look, the person will be sitting down in that position. There are a lot of experienced, qualified individuals in Liberia that have the credentials from renowned institutions that did not change their name 500 times before did not change their name 500 times. So when you're even looking for the person's degree, you can't even find the name of the institution. And they have so many experienced people that went to school and they paid their dues and they qualified experience to do that job. We don't want to be going back and forward with somebody with a red flag that had a master's degree before they went by and got a bachelor's degree. It's confusing for most of the Liberians. What are we saying to our children if we start to put people in positions that are not qualified for the position, in that they don't have the relevant experience or they don't have the credentials, the qualification, that they not go to school to show that they can do that particular job? Implementing with United Nations on the field or maybe in the office is different from negotiating for a country. And that's the relevant experience that we are looking for this position. And that's the reason why I hope and pray tomorrow that the Senate look me in my eyes and do the right thing for the Liberian people and for our children. We are not doing mediocrity anymore in our country. Joseph Braga has come to rescue the country. The country must be rescued. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
I hear from you.
This is a very tough show, eh?
It's tough tonight. What?
This is the closing argument.
All right. Okay, I think it's my turn. First of all, Timothy and Kev, I want to thank you guys. You guys have created a very beautiful platform, very diverse. And when you broke away from Spoon, I was a little doubtful, but you're and the chairman, you have done a great job. I mean, we're talking about finance, and in a few seconds, you got all the financial experts online. That's commendable because you have the experts. You know, it's that we have this thing in Liberia where if I'm not part of your clique, or I don't know you personally, then you don't have anything to contribute. And I think you guys have taken away that statement. Um, I would just re-emphasize the point is my personal view is to give. I don't believe in giving somebody, just a shot because you gave them a shot. For every job you give somebody that they didn't deserve, that 10, 15, 20 people that really were qualified, they should have given them. The job should be given to the best person. The best person doesn't necessarily mean that you got to have a master's degree, you got to have a PhD. It wouldn't mean that you have demonstrated to your peers that you are best in our job. Let me give you an instance. If I were building a hotel in Liberia, who am I going to go to? I'm going to go to Robert. Robert, how we build this hotel, how we can make some money. All right. If I were opening a bank in Liberia, I'll go to Carter. Carter, how can we set up a bank and make money and beat Echo Bank and beat? So we have those things, but Liberians were so tribal and political that we take away our expertise and we defeat ourselves. Like I said, we have 4 billion economy. Togo economy is 8 billion. What administration will have to at least get to 8 billion before you can even move the mark. They're not going to get there. That's the reality, especially the fact that they're not relying on people who have the expertise. Um, I will hope they will get there, but I'm not going to, as an analyst, I'm not going to tell you something that just because you want to hear it. You barely can run an inauguration. You barely can run a hospital. Even if, like what is there? I'm an IT consultant myself. Even if they give you guys the phone, do you know the back data that needs to maintain it? There's a lot of work to maintain it. You got to change the password. You got to code it. So you can't just pick and plug one thing. When a person talk about one thing, then you jump and grab. What I bring government needs to do, and I hope Burma Kamara gets confirmed so I can make my point that in 3 months from now, the country will not go nowhere. So I pray they confirm me. I pray they confirm all of them so that we can come here and move forward with serious people. But the point I'm making is I'm just elated by how much professional that we have. And I'm disappointed that these people are stuck in other countries making money, building companies in other countries. The SharePoint you talk about, I consult on SharePoint. People pay me to build SharePoint for them. And our Liberian government, Senate, they don't even know what the word SharePoint is. And it feels so comfortable. So let's utilize Gago, all these guys do. I hope we all will all be on the show, network as professionals. Okay. So that everybody can bring the expertise together. That's how I got to know Carter and Willie DeLong to the Business and Economic Forum. So that when I need something, I'm writing a paper or I have a job I don't know, I can call my Liberian guy. Instead of just politics where that divide us, that pit us against each other. That's my only message. Because once we can do that amongst ourselves, whether you're in Liberia, you're in China, or you're in America, it really doesn't matter. Then we can be able to go to Liberia or help Liberia in a more meaningful way, grow the GDP, lift people out of poverty. That's the bottom line. People are poor. We make money in America. We're not suffering. But how can we increase, live the lives of the ordinary people so they can get $50 job or $100 job so they can feed their families, young men and young women. And that's why I'm in this thing for. And that's why most of the times I'm not just criticizing, but I will not take nonsense. The people are suffering too much. I'd rather let Joseph Burger feeling get hurt because I call him useless than a pregnant woman that got 3 kids and can't feed her family and got to walk in the house. Okay? That's just how I am. So that's what people we're concerned about. We're willing to help, but willing to help in a constructive way to do the right thing. We're not going to go there and, just because I know you or I'm part of your political party, we want no part of that. Professional people are there to help professionally. But good show, guys. I really appreciate you guys having us on all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kev, you want me to go?
Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
Let me go quick. But look, this is the closing argument. This is the reason why I've never shy away from being a part of this, and this is the reason why I publicly defended my guys here before I even knew them. Tomalin, I never spoken to Tomalin. The only person I really knew was Ben Sanvee. But what's right is right. And I always believed that they will be able to do the right thing. And this is what they've done. And I'm glad to be a part of it. And I got to say, the strength of this show is shown through each guest that comes on every single day. I mean, look at Grace. Grace was very powerful at the end there. She was very powerful, and she's a woman. But in as much as she was powerful, I have to disagree with her. I have to disagree with her on the basis that a serious country cannot reach a determination with regards to questioning the qualification of anyone based off for social media posts by some guy in Europe called Martin Kula. We cannot advance our country this way. And as much as you advocate for a serious country and the fact that we cannot live in mediocrity, we cannot lower the standards with regards to who determines, who validates what is real and what is fake. That cannot come from a social media post from that young man. We can't do that. If we want to validate the credentials of people and get the proper verification. We should build institutions. We should recruit professionals who can do their job independently. That's what serious countries do. So I disagree. I think that she comes to the table. I may not agree with her in all areas, but for God's sake, and I don't agree with Joseph Walker on almost anything. My friends that are close to him knows. Joseph Walker knows. But we have to be objective here. She comes to the table with more practical and academic experience than some of the previous foreign minister. And I concur. We need someone who negotiates in the interest of our country. But we first need to understand the foreign policy of Joseph Walker and what some of those negotiations are. But as far as the international language, as far as being familiar with that process, as far as understanding that language, she's the highest ranking librarian in the past 15 years or more at the United Nations. She worked directly with the secretary. I mean, how much more do you need? Look, let's not major in the minor stuff. I think the Senate should do its due diligence and ask the tough questions. And I think Ms. Beslow is competent enough to defend herself, to give the necessary clarity to some of these confusions here. But I think she deserves a chance here. A lot of people change their name. That alone should not be the standard for which one is rejected or not given an opportunity to serve. I will close on this note. Liberia is our country. And whether you like it or not, we will develop that country. In my generation, we will build that country, but we will contribute, but we will do so honestly. And young men and women who wants to give back must be honest. You can't say I will take $4,000 only because you want to steal to make up for what you actually not making or what your lifestyle does not depend on. You can't do that. We must be honest. If you want to give back to our country, you must have already opened companies in Liberia. You must have already been training Liberians. You must already hire Liberians. And if you have other sources of income, fine. I would do that at some point. But we must be honest. And government must be willing to recruit and pay people based on our expertise and what kind of return, as far as the economy, that they bring to the table. One way we can, right now, start to pay civil servant as far as those servers and those bartenders, go to those hotels. Let them cut off this $100 every month. Cut off the $150 every month. Institute a mandatory tip-based system. The Ghanaians are doing it. In this country, we are doing it. Servers, bartenders are making over $100,000 a year. I know that for a fact because I do payroll. We can do that in our country. They may not make $100,000, but instead of that $150, they can make $400, $500. We can do this. We have the expertise to do it. Thank you. Great show.
Okay, Kev, you can take us home so we can cut it.
Yeah, let me make it quick. And I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was trying to say. I am not saying that we don't need experts here to go down. I'm not saying we don't need them to train our people. What I was saying that you don't leave here and go there and take their job. That's all. But you can go, you can train. We need people. I agree with Larry. You don't need to send somebody to Rwanda. Liberians can do it. That's okay. But I'm just saying that what we have from the LTA and backed by JM and JMB in his speech, I think it's a good thing for Liberia. 10,000 Liberians need to be trained. It is a good thing, and let's train our people. Let's train our people. I want to see Robert training somebody at Boulevard Hotel. I don't want to see Robert the manager at Boulevard Hotel. I want to see him train somebody at Boulevard Hotel. That's what I'm saying. So if people feel what I say is wrong, I want for the job in Liberia to be for Liberian there. Yes, you can have experts to go there, but I want to see. I want to wake up in the morning at Bolivar at the rooftop. I see my boy Robert with somebody behind him training the person. We are building up human capacity in Liberia. If we keep taking people from here, we're not helping the nation. We have to help them by training them there and let them do the job there. That's what I'm saying. You gotta show some who they can pay, Robert. No,
Nah,
no, you agree with me, right?
nah,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
no.
they can. So I want Robert to train people there and let them there. So work there. But I don't want to see Robert taking their job. So that's my point.
Well, guys, thanks for being a great day. Let me say this. A good show. Like we said, the LTAs. Thank for that vision, the roadmap. A winner Crumbs doing a great job. We're gonna follow up with you. Hope we get someone to talk more about that. The LTAs roadmap for the 10,000. How they call them, the IC information communication technology for creating jobs is on course, and we look forward to seeing that. But quickly, we'll be back on Friday. While we're here, I got some intelligence, and I've been trying to reach Senator Prince Johnson. I'm told that a formal request have been made to the United Nations Secretary General to Ambassador Greenfield for establishment of the War Crimes Court. I want PYJ to respond. I want him to. I'm trying to get hold of him. Hopefully, I'll get him before the show on Friday to get what he says about that. And also, there are attempts to send the defense minister of Liberia now as ambassador, and make the chief of staff defense minister, and then the deputy chief of staff Geraldine George. I don't know whether we'll replace her, but these are information we're getting, and we'll look forward to see what happens in the next 48 hours. But these are information we're getting. We're going to follow up on it. We'll dig deeper on it. And let's see what happens. But tomorrow is an important confirmation day. Senator DeLong, his committee on foreign affairs, will be in charge of that confirmation tomorrow. As I said again, I wish Sarah Besso Yanti the best, and I wish she gets confirmed. I think she's up to the task and will make a good foreign minister and dean of the president's cabinet. But with all that, and there are other, the Justice Minister in designate, Cooper Kra, is here again. He's also on the radar. He's been a lot of stuff going on, even the Minister of General designate. So all these people that President Boaga nominated are facing some issues, but we'll dig deeper and get to see what happened in the next 72 hours, because this week is confirmation hearing week. Let's see what happens. But we're going to find out tomorrow. And PYJ, I'm going to call you. Listen to me. I will find out whether if you're aware that your formalities requested the court to be established in Liberia.
But you can't do nothing about it now.
Well, maybe then it may not be what that President Boaga man. So let's see what happens. Yeah, but let's see what happens, guys. Okay, but guys, it's been good, and let's look for Friday and see what happens on Friday. Thank you, guys.
All right.
And I'll tell you on that note, there's I will have to call you up there.